Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live coverage of much anticipated Axiom-4 mission launch from the East Coast, that is from the pad Space Launch Complex 4, Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Tibor Maitra, performing the commentary for today's mission launch, and you are watching AstroYonder live.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around.
Houston, we see a nominal MECO. Welcome to space.
Hope you all are doing fine and excited for the much anticipated Axiom-4 mission launch, which marks the 4th commercial flight for Axiom Space and the 18th crewed flight for SpaceX. After 7 times the launch got delayed, I'm pretty sure your excitement for SpaceX's Axiom-4 mission is through the roof. And today, we are super excited bringing you the coverage of SpaceX's 506th overall launch and the 78th Falcon 9 launch of this year. Today's launch marks the 51st one from Space Coast for SpaceX as they continue to build their incredible launch cadence this year. This mission is for Axiom Space, a commercial organization launching their 4th human space flight with the help of NASA and SpaceX, launching 4 crew members on board to the International Space Station. So far, SpaceX launched 17 crew mission aboard its Dragon spacecraft and 66 crew members to and back from the orbital outpost. Now, if I'll be breaking down it for you, they launched 11 for government organization. To be precise, it's for NASA. 3 Axiom missions, 1 Inspiration 4, another one is the Polaris Dawn, and lastly, the recent one, the FRAM 2 mission. That makes a total of 17 crewed mission so far. Today is the 18th one for SpaceX. And about the crew members they launched, if I'll be breaking down for you guys, it's 40 crew members for government organization, again for NASA, 24 for private organization, that includes the Inspiration 4, Polaris Dawn, and FRAM 2 mission as well. And that equates to 64 to be launched. But there's a twist. They brought back 2 crew from the International Space Station, that is Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore, the Boeing Starliner crew flight test crew, back to Earth. So that's equals to overall 66 in total. Now, before moving on, would like to welcome Tuhin Bhattacharya for joining us. Thanks, Tuhin, for tuning in. I hope you are much hyped for today's launch, as Shubhanshu Shukla from India will be getting launched. Meanwhile, also would like to welcome Simon Haga after a long time. Actually, Simon, I was missing you in between and was thinking that what happened, you were not coming anymore. Maybe you got hurt by us or something, because I know you like to prefer talking on the chat, but not always it is possible for me, because I'm here giving the commentary, so it's a little bit problematic, so please forgive me for that. But anyways, I am greeting you today, and I hope you are doing well, Simon. Also would like to welcome Mahajan Mahesh for tuning in. I hope Mahesh Jain, sorry, excuse me, I pronounced your name wrong, that you are doing well, and I guess you are from India as well, so I hope you are much hyped for today's launch as well. Actually, we all are because it's a pride for our nation. Now let's move on. Also would like to welcome our one of our moderator joining us, Angry Bird, early at your place. Thanks for tuning in, Angry Bird. I hope you will be enjoying the stream. Now moving on, we are currently standing by for a Falcon 9 liftoff at 2:31 a.m. Eastern Time, 6:31 hours UTC, an instantaneous launch attempt from NASA's Kennedy Space Center for Axiom-4 mission following a northeast trajectory. Now, before we ignite the engines on today's mission details, firstly, on behalf of AstroYonder team and our awesome moderators, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to everyone for joining us on today's launch ride. We are truly fueled up by your presence and support that inspires us to work more hard and to meet your expectations. A big thanks to our amazing YouTube community for the encouragement that keeps our mission flying as we provide you deep dive launch coverages loaded with extensive stats and thorough insights. Truly grateful to have you on board as we count down to the liftoff. Also would like to appreciate it if you guys could join the chat and let us know from where you are joining from. Feel free to share any questions, suggestions, or opinion with us that will make us to improve our streams and to know more about you and your perspective. So please don't be shy, just bring them on. We would love to hear from you guys. Now, another reminder is just me only managing the launch coverages on my own. So if we face any technical issues, chances are low, but please bear with me and be tuned in. There is absolutely nothing to worry about. I will do my best to guide you through the Falcon 9 rocket launch happening in approximately 2 hours 54 minutes from now. SpaceX will be starting the stream 2 hours prior to the liftoff. So here we are an hour before SpaceX stream so that we can share the valuable insights with you so that you can get a deeper insight of this mission. Now, before getting into the mission details, just a quick update. Docking of the Crew Dragon with Axiom-4 crew on board is currently scheduled for approximately 7 a.m. Eastern Daytime, 11 hours UTC on June 26th, 2025. That is just tomorrow. Now let's get into the mission details. According to the 45th Weather Squadron officials, today it's quite a promising and fair weather conditions for the launch. Report published by the 45th Weather Squadron official indicates that there's a 90% chances of favorable weather conditions at the time of launch, with only 10% launch weather constraint violations related to cumulus cloud and flight through precipitation rules. Otherwise, it's a 90% go for today's launch. So that's nice. The forecast calls for a temperature of 26 degrees Celsius, clear skies, with 3% cloud cover and a wind speed of 6 miles per hour. Finger crossed and hope the launch proceeds on time without significant delays. But if for some reason launch does not happen today, which all of us don't want, hopefully this line of mine will get to be proved wrong. We do have an backup opportunity tomorrow, that is on Thursday, June 26th at 2:09 a.m. Eastern Time, 6:09 hours UTC. Now we will be meeting our crew, but before that, would like to highlight the milestones today's Axiom-4 mission will be achieving. Today, Shubhanshu Shukla will be India's second national astronaut to go to space since 1984. Previously, it was the Rakesh Sharma from India to go to space, not to visit on the ISS. But to be true, India, Shubhanshu Shukla will be the first one to visit International Space Station. Next up, we have Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski. I hope I can pronounce his name right. Although we have a call sign for him, Swab. He is an European Space Agency project astronaut who will be the second Polish astronaut since 1978. Next, we have Tibor Kapu, will be the second national Hungarian astronaut since 1980. Peggy Whitson will command her second commercial human spaceflight mission, adding to her standing record for the longest cumulative time in space by an American astronaut. Ax-4 will be the second commercial spaceflight mission made by the government and ESA-sponsored national astronauts. So that's the milestones with today's Axiom-4 mission. Now let's meet the crew. The Axiom-4 crew consists of 4 astronauts: Peggy Whitson serving the role of commander, Shubhanshu Shukla as pilot, Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski, and Tibor Kapu as mission specialist. Altogether, they represent a blend of veteran expertise and fresh perspectives, each bringing unique milestones to this mission. As the Falcon 9 prepares to lift off today, the world watches as these 4 vast astronauts carry their nation's aspiration into orbit. So now let's dive into the details of each crew member and their background and what they bring to this historic mission. On your screen, you have the details for Peggy Whitson, leading the Axiom-4 mission, a name synonymous with space exploration excellence. Born on February 9 back in 1960, Whitson is a 65-year-old biochemist with a Bachelor of Science in Biology and Chemistry from Iowa Wesleyan College and PhD in Biochemistry from Rice University. I hope you guys can remember the historic speech John F. Kennedy gave from this same university, that is the Rice University. She is no stranger to high-stakes mission, and her resume reads like a history book of spaceflight achievement. Whitson has logged an astonishing 675 days in space, the most by any American or woman astronaut, putting her 8th on all-time space endurance list. That's nearly 2 years of her life spent in the orbit. Whitson's career began at NASA's Johnson Space Center in 1986 as a research biochemist, where she worked on the Shuttle Maid program before being selected as an astronaut candidate in 1996. Her first spaceflight came in 2002 with Expedition 7 aboard the Space Shuttle mission STS-111, and on that mission she made history as the first female commander of the International Space Station, also being the first woman to command the ISS twice, first during ISS 16 and again during Expedition excuse me, I said it wrong. First during Expedition 16 in 2007 and 8, and again during Expedition 51 back in 2017. That 2017 mission saw her a record for the longest single space flight by a woman at a time. That was 289 days, though that record was later surpassed by NASA astronaut Christina Koch Now she's preparing for the Artemis 2 mission, a female crew member for the upcoming Artemis 2 mission. Whitson also completed 10 spacewalks, totaling 60 hours and 21 minutes, making her the record holder for the most spacewalks by a woman and the oldest woman to perform one. Throughout her career, she has held various positions, including NASA's Chief of Astronaut Office, 2 times Commander for the International Space Station, NASA's Astronaut Selection Board, Chief of NASA's Operation Branch, and Deputy Division Chief for both Medical Sciences and Astronaut Office, as well as co-chairing the US-Russian Mission Science Working Group. So that's a huge accomplishment she's having. She served as the first ISS science officer and was featured in Time's 100 Most Influential People in the World back in 2018. After retiring from NASA in 2018, Whitson joined Axiom Space as a director of human spaceflight, and in 2023, she became the first woman to command a private space mission with Axiom-2. For Axiom-4, she is back in the commander's seat. Responsible for overseeing all mission operations, ensuring the crew's safety, and coordinating their 14-day stay aboard the International Space Station. Outside of space, Whitson is married to Clarence F. Sams, a fellow PhD, and enjoys weightlifting, biking, basketball, and water skating, a testament to her high-energy personality. As NASA's first female chief astronaut from 2009 to 2012, a role rarely held by non-military or non-pilot astronaut, Whitson brings unparalleled experience to this mission, making her the steady hand guiding this international crew. Whitson has been the instrumental position leading in training the Ax-4 crew, leveraging her extensive ISS experience to prepare the crew for the unique challenges of the living and working in microgravity. It's worth noting, except her, all the 3 astronauts aboard the Dragon spacecraft going for the International Space Station are all rookie astronauts. So it's obvious that she has a huge responsibility on her shoulders. Her leadership is seen as a cornerstone of the mission's anticipated success, and hopefully she will be achieving some more milestones with this upcoming Axiom-4 launch. Well, Mahesh, I think I am saying things like, did you use India? You meant that by your comment? Well, what to do? We have to make familiar and to give insights of the crew so that everyone can know things. Now, next up is India's trailblazing pilot Shubhanshu Shukla, serving as mission's pilot and proud representative of India. Born on October 10, 1985 in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, the 39-year-old group captain in the Indian Air Force is making history as the first Indian to visit the International Space Station. This marks a significant milestone for India's space program, as Shukla becomes only the second Indian to travel to space since Rakesh Sharma's historic flight back in 1984. That's a gap of 41 years. That's huge. Shukla's journey to this moment began at his school back in Lucknow, followed by training at the prestigious National Defense Academy in Pune, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science back in 2005. Although, just a quick fun fact, I'm also from computer science, but unfortunately, I'm here and he is there. Of course, he deserves so. Commissioned into the Indian Air Force's fighter wing back in June 2006, he rose through the ranks, achieving the title of Group Captain in March 2024. His ascent to the rank of Group Captain itself reflects his exceptional contribution. Please excuse me. With over 2,000 hours of flight experience across aircraft like Sukhoi 30, MiG-21, MiG-29, Jaguar, Hawk, Dornier, and AN-32, Shukla is a seasoned combat leader and test pilot. His astronaut training took him to Yuri Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center back in Star City, based in Russia, starting in 2019 as part of India's Gaganyaan program, which aims to launch the nation's first human spaceflight in 2026. For Ax-4, Shukla serves as the mission pilot, handling critical spacecraft operations during launch, docking, and undocking with the International Space Station. He is also tasked with conducting a suite of experiments developed by the Indian Space Research Organization, also known as ISRO, and the other Indian science institution. Shukla's participation in Ax-4 is a direct result of 2024 agreement between ISRO and Axiom Space, signed during Indian Prime Minister's Narendra Modi's visit to the United States, and this collaboration allows India to gain critical experience in human spaceflight operations ahead of India's Gaganyaan program. Now, as I mentioned, Shukla will be performing a broad spectrum of experiment developed by ISRO and other Indian science institutions. This includes studies on the cognitive effect of screen use in microgravity, microbial adaptation, muscle atrophy, and crop resilience, research that could pave the way for India's future space endeavors. Fluent in English and Hindi, Sukla's role bridges the technical expertise with national pride, as his flight is seen as precursor to India's ambitious Gaganyaan mission, where he is one of the 4 selected astronauts. Next up, we have the crew representing Poland is Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski, a 40-year-old mission specialist born on April 12, 1984, who will be making history as the first Polish astronaut to fly to space since Miroslaw let me spell it right, Miroslaw Hermaszki. Their names are really hard to pronounce, but I hope I didn't pronounce it wrong, but I'm pretty sure I pronounced it wrong. So, who visited to space back in 1978. So, for Poland, he will be ending a nearly 47-year gap in human spaceflight. His selection as part of the European Space Agency's astronaut reserve class of 2022, chosen from over 22,500 candidates, underscores his exceptional qualification. Sławosz Uznański's academic credentials are quite impressive. He is having a master's degree as well as a diploma which he earned back in 2008. In 2011, he completed a PhD with honors from Université de Aix-Marseille, specializing in radiation-tolerant designs for space applications. And his professional career began at STM Microelectronics in France, where he worked as a radiation effects engineer, developing CMOS technologies for space environments. Sławosz made significant contribution at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, that is CERN, in Geneva. There he served as a reliability expert and project lead, notably from 2018 to 2020. He assumed the critical role of engineer in charge for Large Hadron Collider, also known as LHC in short, overseeing its round-the-clock operations. In 2023, he joined European Space Agency as a project astronaut, bringing his expertise to Ax-4 mission. Now, when he is not deep into his scientific work, Sławosz is all about adventure. He pushes himself with high altitude climbs, travel to some of the most remote places on the Earth, and even takes time to enjoy sailing. Uznański's experiment, let's talk about that. Let me just have the slide on the screen so that you can know that which experiments Sławosz will be performing. As a mission specialist, Uznański will conduct 13 experiments on the International Space Station, part of Poland's Let me say it once again, my mic got turned off. As a mission specialist, Uznański will conduct 13 experiments on the orbital outpost, part of Poland's Ignis mission, in collaboration with Axiom Space and European space agencies. These experiments are diverse, ranging from testing advanced AI units in microgravity to studying muscle-free communication, the psychological impacts of long-term space travel. Microglon developed a microglon application for future missions, and noise measurement devices developed in Poland. His work is expected to advance Poland's scientific contribution to space research and strengthen its role in international space exploration. He is fluent in Polish, English, and French. With that, Uznański is having a linguistic skills that enhances his ability to collaborate with multinational crew. Uznański's experiment includes a focus on radiation effects on electronics, leveraging his PhD expertise, and this research could inform the design of future spacecraft systems, enhancing their resilience in harsh space environment. Now, next up, the fourth crew in today's mission. We have Tibor Kapu, a 33-year-old mission specialist from Hungary, born on November 5 back in 1991. So he's younger than me even. And worth noting that Tibor is the most youngest crew flying in today's flight. And as we know, the most oldest one is the commander in charge for today's mission is Peggy Whitson. Meanwhile, in between Uznański and India's Shubhanshu Shukla, there is a gap of only 1 year, less than 1 year even, and I guess Uznański is being the older one than Shubhanshu Shukla. Now, Kapu is the third Hungarian to reach space, following Bertalan Farkas in 1980 and Charles Simonyi in 2009, making Hungary's return to human spaceflight after a significant time. His selection as part of Hungarian astronaut program, which is known as HUNOR, and let me spell it for you, HUNOR. So it's HUNOR, the Hungarian astronaut program. So his selection is a part of HUNOR, where he got selected back in May 2024, highlighting his role in advancing Hungary's space ambitions. Sorry, I didn't sleep all night, so for that I'm a little bit stammering. Now, Kapu's background is rooted in engineering. He graduated from the secondary grammar school based in Hungary and earned both bachelor's and master's degree in mechanical engineering from Budapest University of Technology and Economics, where he specialized in polymer technology. His professional experience spans the automotive, pharmaceutical, and logistical industries with a focus on hybrid car battery development. Kapu also worked in Belgium and the United States, gaining international expertise before joining an aerospace technology company back in 2022 to focus on space radiation protection. His selection from 247 candidates through a rigorous 2-year process from HUNOR underscores his technical and physical preparedness. During the Axiom-4 mission, Kapu will conduct nearly 30 scientific experiments developed by Hungarian researchers. Now we will be coming to that. While I will be playing the science slides for the HUNOR that will be performed by Tibor Kapu. Now, beyond his scientific pursuits, Kapu is known for his adventurous spirit. He completed 38 skydives and run 21 half marathons. That's a clear sign for his boldness and passion for exploration as well as his physical fitness. Interestingly, Kapu is also a 2-time World Junior Championship silver medalist in the logical game known as Tantrix, showcasing his analytical skills. Now, his journey from Hungary to the International Space Station reflects Hungary's growing investment in space exploration and its commitment to independent space research outside the European Space Agency's framework. Now, Kapu's experiment will include a study on cosmic radiation's impact on human psychology, which could inform future long-duration space missions, and this aligns with Hungary's goal to develop technologies for lunar and Martian exploration. Now, Tibor will be conducting nearly 30 scientific experiments developed by Hungarian researchers, covering fields like materials science, biology, and Earth observation. And all these experiments are part of HUNOR program, not from European Space Agency, organized by Hungarian Space Office in collaboration with Axiom Space. Now that's the introduction of today's crew. Now, before that, would like to just show you that all the science experiment all together the crew will be performing aboard the International Space Station during their stay of 14 days being docked for Axiom Space and for its partners, where Peggy Whitson will be serving as the role of commander, showing her commander skills while performing these experiments to reach them the success. Now, before moving any further, there's a surprise. We have a new fifth crew member for Axiom-4 mission. Well, that was not declared at the very first time when they declared that the 4 astronauts will be going. So we have the fifth one. At the Axiom Mission 4 pre-launch press conference, the crew introduced their zero gravity indicator, a plush baby swan named Joy from Aurora's adorable Palm Pals line. And more than just a soft toy, Joy serves a critical role in physical confirmation of the moment crew reaches microgravity shortly after liftoff. Now, just to provide you a quick context, the name Joy was proposed by Tibor Kapu itself, reflecting the crew's spirit and unity, where Kapu remarked during the pre-launch press conference that it's a symbol of a team that has joy and is a team that is healthy, emphasizing the importance of comradeship of such missions. Now, just to provide you a little more context that why all of them chose a swan, the crew explained that the zero-G indicated Joy isn't just a mascot, it symbolizes the collaborative spirit of this mission. The swan reflects the shared aspiration of ISRO, European Space Agency, and Hungary's Honor program, all united in their return to human spaceflight with Axiom Mission 4. They also touched on the deeper cultural symbolism of the swan. In Indian tradition, the swan is associated with goddess Saraswati, and it symbolizes wisdom and purity, representing the pursuit of truth. While in Poland, the swan represents purity, resilience, and loyalty. And in Hungary, it's a symbol of loyalty, grace, and natural beauty. So by choosing the swan, Ax-4 crew said they are honoring their individual heritages while celebrating the unity and shared journey of humanity into space. Now, I know it's early in today's stream, but please consider providing this stream a like. It really helps others to find this stream out and to join us as we move ahead with the stream. We would be super grateful for your kind support. Now, once again, just a reminder, SpaceX is currently targeting a liftoff time of Falcon 9 from NASA's Kennedy Space Center at 2:31 a.m. Eastern Time, 6:31 hours UTC on Wednesday, June 25th of 2025. So now let's wind back and have an overview from the inception of today's Axiom-4 mission. This mission, operated by Axiom Space in collaboration with SpaceX and NASA, brings together a diverse crew of 4, representing significant milestones for their respective nations. Back in August 2024, Axiom Space welcomed the Ax-4 crew led by Commander Peggy Whitson, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla from India, mission specialist Sławosz Uznański from Poland, and Tibor Kapu from Hungary, as they arrived in Houston to begin preparation for their mission planned for spring 2025. Upon arrival, they completed a thorough onboarding process at Axiom's headquarters, which included reviewing mission objectives, safety protocols, facility orientation, and introduction to mission support team. In the first month, the team traveled to SpaceX back in Hawthorne, California, where they completed suit measurements and pressurization tests. There they began familiarizing themselves with Dragon spacecraft and Falcon 9 launch vehicle, as well as conducting basic simulation involving orbital mechanics, spacesuit ingress, egress, microgravity procedures, emergency drills, and early mission level scenarios. Following SpaceX training, the crew participated in a series of simulations and technical exercises at NASA's Johnson Space Center, approved by Multilateral Crew Operation Panel, also known as MCOP in short. Their preparation included payload operations, emergency protocols, and station-specific drills, all designed to ready them for life and work aboard the International Space Station. Next, the crew traveled to European Astronaut Center in Cologne, Germany, where they completed focused training in communication system, emergency response procedures, and research operations within the Columbus Laboratory Module, which is Europe's microgravity research facility about the orbital outpost. Then moving on, the crew then continued their training at JAXA's, that is Japan's Aerospace Organization's Space Center in Japan, concentrating on the Japanese experimental module, also known as KIBO, aboard the International Space Station. Their regimen included hands-on operational procedures and module-specific system training during their visit. They also engaged with ambassadors, embassy officials, and JAXA leadership, underscoring the collaborative nature of the mission. Axiom's partnership with JAMS further supported these efforts through knowledge exchange and logistical coordination. Having successfully completed training across Axiom Space, SpaceX, NASA, European Space Agency, JAXA, the Ax-4 team is now fully prepared to live and work aboard the International Space Station. Their multinational training, from spacecraft systems to microgravity research environments, have equipped them to carry out mission objectives seamlessly when they will be launching today. Now on your screen are some of the behind the scenes of the training while the crew was ongoing the training. Now we are just approximately 15 minutes away from the webcast to begin. So let's just quickly get done with the more information we have for you guys to share with. Right now on your screen, you can see the crew performing the communication training at the mission control for the International Space Station. And also they have to go through photography to know photography, because they will be taking some cool pictures out there from the International Space Station. Now moving right along, on June 9th, 2025, Falcon 9 likely had its static fire test. This is where they fire up the rocket's 9 Merlin engines for a quick burst while it's locked down on the pad. The exact time isn't nailed down on the reports, but Wikipedia's Axiom Mission 4 page points to this date. The problem came in when they checked things out afterwards. They spotted a liquid oxygen leak. That little hiccup turned out to be a big deal, setting off a chain of delays. Sure enough, on June 11, 2025, the first launch try, planned for 8:22 a.m. Eastern Time, got scrubbed because of that leak. Now things got trickier when an unrelated issue, a leak in ISS Zvezda module, popped up, pushing the schedule back even further. It was a tough break for the team, but they stayed focused. The Dragon arrived at the Crew Dragon C name with tail number C213, um, and its Falcon 9 Block 5 rocket made their way to Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. That's when the Dragon rolled up to the pad and got hoisted vertically, ready for the action. Now today, here we are on June 25th with the latest launch attempt just hours away from Launch Complex 39A. If all goes smoothly, the Crew Dragon will dock with International Space Station around 7 a.m. Eastern Daytime on June 26th. And the weather is looking solid for today's launch. Fingers crossed. Hope this is the one. Now let's learn a little bit about the mission patches. Well, we have a slide to show for you guys that during the crew, when they had the full launch rehearsal just back on June 8, 2025, the X Crew and SpaceX team ran a full launch day rehearsal. They went through everything from slipping into the suits to counting down, making sure every piece of the puzzle fits perfectly. But unfortunately, after that, we had several delays in the mission launch timeline due to several issues coming up. Now let's meet today's booster supporting today's mission. The booster with tail number 1094 supporting today's mission is a flight proven but quite a young booster, you can say, with only one previous flights in its record, supporting a Starlink mission. So far, this booster has not supported any non-Starlink mission before, but that changes today with the launch of Axiom-4 mission. Now waiting its second flight approximately 2 hours and 14 minutes from now. So we are just 14 minutes away from the webcast to begin. The booster's turnaround time as of today is 57 days. The last mission supported by today's booster was a Group 12-10 from here at Florida, from this same pad back in 28th of April this year. Worth mentioning, this launch also marks the booster's second flight of 2025, its second consecutive flight from pad Launch Complex 39A, and first ground landing supporting today's mission. So that's the familiarization with the booster supporting today's mission. Now, before this upcoming launch, SpaceX completed its 77th Falcon 9 launch for this year with the Transporter 14 mission launch from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg back on June 23rd, 2025. SpaceX is now having 16 more than the launches made in year 2022. With today's launch of Axiom-4 mission, the bar graph shows 78 number of Falcon 9 launches for 2025. As of now, SpaceX is less than halfway to reach the number of launches made in year 2023 and 2024. And with today's launch, SpaceX is now 18 behind 2023's total and 54 short of 2024. Well, I said it wrong. SpaceX is now 18 behind 2023's total and 54 short of 2024. SpaceX last year completed 134 launches, marking its highest annual launch count to date. Now, again, they are aiming for another record-breaking year with around 170 to 180 launches, surpassing last year's highest annual launch count, according to a previous tweet from Elon Musk, the owner of SpaceX. Well, that's a pretty ambitious target, but let's hope they pull it off. Now, if this dream fuels your love for space, please provide this stream a like. It's kind of fine-tuning the trajectory of our mission to build a community with amazing space enthusiasts like you. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so that you won't miss a single launch update. Here at AstroYonder, we believe we will build the ultimate constellation of space enthusiasts, and we would be super grateful for your kind support. Now let's go ahead and briefly step through the trajectory for today's Axiom-4 mission. Falcon 9 leaving the pad from Launch Complex 39A from NASA's Kennedy Space Center with the Crew Dragon with tail number C213, marking its first flight, having the 4 Axiom-4 crew on board for a northeast trajectory heading into low Earth orbit, that is to the International Space Station, with an inclination of 51.66 degrees, which is a common angle for missions to International Space Station due to its optimal ground coverage and accessibility, indicated by that green line on your screen. The red line you see indicates where Falcon 9 first stage will land after stage separation, just a little later leaving Florida's Space Coast. This is going to be a ground landing, meaning it's a return to launch site, also known as RTLS operation. For today, it's landing zone 1, SpaceX's landing site, one of the two here at the East Coast. And this will be SpaceX's 90th overall land landing and the 52nd one on the landing zone 1 to date. The stage 2 debris re-entry will be in the South Pacific. Now let's move on and let's get done with the stats because we are just 6 minutes away from the webcast to begin. So coming to some stats related to today's mission launch. Today's launch marks 506th SpaceX's overall launch and the 21st non-Starlink mission of the year, and overall 18th crewed launch for SpaceX. This is going to be the 493rd Falcon 9 launch to date. Second flight of this particular Falcon 9 booster supporting today's mission, with tail number 1094 being in action after 57 days. And by that I mean the booster's turnaround time is 57 days. First flight for the fifth and final Dragon 2 reusable spacecraft based on Crew Dragon with tail number C213. Although it's not named as of now, it's still unnamed, and the crew will be giving the name for this Crew Dragon while they will be in orbit. Today's mission marks the 78th Falcon 9 launch and SpaceX's 81st overall launch of 2025, including 3 Starship flights this year. This will be the 434th Falcon booster reflight to date. That is the launch of a booster that has flown at least once before. 113th orbital launch for SpaceX, launching from Launch Complex 39A, and the 207th overall orbital launch from this pad. Now moving on to some reusability statistics. Today's flight marks the 418th reflight of a Falcon 9 booster to date. This will be the 5th landing on landing zone 1 this year, which marks 10th ground landing of the year and the 52nd overall landing for the landing zone 1. Second landing of this first stage booster with tail number 1094 supporting Axiom-4 mission. And with this mission's first stage landing, SpaceX will be having their 90th overall ground landing, marking 447 Falcon 9 landings so far and the 466th SpaceX's overall landing to date. Now we are just short of one in the count for the Falcon 9 landing and overall SpaceX's landing. That's because we are not counting the landing failure, the partial landing failure that happened on Just Read the Instructions this year. So for that, we are short of one from the SpaceX's count. Now, speaking of landings, let's take a look into the stats for landings, ground landings prior to today's mission. Once again, just to remind you, please note that this landing zone stats right now on your screen are prior to today's launch. So please don't get confused with the numbers shown on your screen. Now let's take a look into some key stats for SpaceX launches, specifically for this year. Well, right now on your screen are some of the drone ship landing stats, but although today's mission is not having any involvement of the drone ship, as because it will be having a land landing. So now about this year's stats for SpaceX. With today's mission, SpaceX will be having its 81st launch of this year. Out of those, 57 were Starlink missions, 21 are non-Starlink missions for commercial and government organizations, including this one, 3 Starship launches, 74 of these missions using a reuse booster, including today's one as well. Now, SpaceX will be having their 51st launch from the East Coast, 15th from the Launch Complex 39A with today's mission, that is from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. On the West Coast, SpaceX is having 27 launches, that is from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base, and as of now, 3 launches from Gulf Coast at Starbase in Texas. And with that, 2 Super Heavy booster catches with Starship's 7th and 8th test flights. On Flight 9, no Super Heavy booster catch was attempted. For landings, they will be nailing it for the 76th time this year. Most of the landings are on drone ships with 66 in total. For ground landings, they will be pulling it off for the 10th time, where landing zone 1 will be having its 5th landing with today's mission. Now I guess we are about to have the stream. So the stream is started from SpaceX's end. Although I can't hear any sound. Whenever SpaceX streams are not having any sound, it's something fishy going out there. But I hope that won't be true. I guess it's not. So the stream is up. So let's just quickly move on to the stream, and please provide me a couple of seconds so that we will be having the stream to set up. Well, Angry Bird, we have the sound on. I don't know why you are not having the sound. Did you meant about the SpaceX's stream I'm mentioning previously? You know, maybe they forgot to make some those tunes to pre-launch tunes to be played on their stream. Can happen. So there we go. We are having the sound coming now. so absolute no issues. So there we have it. We have the stream online. SpaceX is now playing some pre-launch tune. Once the mission audio feed drops in, I will be patching in that for you guys. Now, meanwhile, let me share some more stats for today's launch. This will be the 139th orbital launch of the year. United States is leading with 91 launches, followed by China with 35 launches, Russia with 7 launches, 1 launch by Japan, 2 launches by India, and Europe with 3 launches. Australia is about to debut the launch of Ares rocket, which got scrubbed on its initial attempt due to some fairing half issues. Right now, Falcon 9 is gearing up for its 78th launch. With this mission, India, Poland, and Hungary will be accomplishing a huge milestone for their space programs. And just to remind you, meanwhile, the stream will be going on. We will
Four, also known as Ax-4. Today is lining up to be a great day to launch off planet Earth, and the clock is actively counting down at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Our 4 crew members are already strapped into their seats into Dragon, and they are preparing for liftoff from Launch Complex 39A at...
So there we have the live view of the 4 crew members
a strategic space storyteller for Axiom
aboard
Space
the
on Earth.
Crew Dragon, making its debut flight
Fourth mission to the International
with tail number C213.
Senior sales manager here at SpaceX. It's great to have you with us in Hawthorne, Paul.
Thank you. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. And honestly, I'm excited to help share this story of our 4 dear friends
And
leaving the planet.
just to make you guys informed that meanwhile, during the stream, you might be hearing the word called ingress. Is a technical term for the crew getting to be on board the spacecraft, which they did already. We saw them to be getting aboard the Dragon spacecraft, and we did saw them healthy. Now enjoy the stream.
So depending on your perspective, this mission has been weeks in the making. There have been a series of efforts, including weather and procedures both on and off the planet, that have needed to align. And today, those things are aligning. But more broadly speaking, this moment has also been months and for some years in the making. And there is a lot of goodness in store on this mission for the Ax-4 crew, which includes members from India, Poland, and Hungary. This morning's flight is each of those nations' first mission to the space station. And after more than 40 years, this is each country's second government-sponsored human spaceflight ever. This historic mission underscores how Axiom Space is redefining the pathway to low Earth orbit.
Right now on your screen, you can see Peggy Whitson. The front 2 seats are being occupied by Peggy Whitson, the commander for Axiom-4 mission, and next to her is the Shubhanshu Shukla from India, the pilot for today's mission. And on the both 2 sides, they are having the mission specialist. From Poland is Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski, and for Hungary it's Tibor Kapu.
Since 2022, SpaceX has supported the next generation of commercial space exploration with 6 private astronaut missions, including 3 private astronaut missions to the space station in support of Axiom Space. We also want to take a moment to congratulate the SpaceX team for reaching 500 completed Falcon missions earlier this month. Over the last 17 years, these missions have restored human spaceflight to the United States, built the Starlink low Earth orbit constellation to provide low latency, high bandwidth communications from orbit for the first time, and with recovery and reuse have radically changed spaceflight.
That is incredible to think about. From just a demo 2 to today on the human spaceflight side alone, that is an incredible accomplishment.
It's a great time to be in commercial spaceflight. It really is.
Agreed. And we're going to add to that chapter, to that story today. But needless to say, we're very excited for today's send-off. Right now, the Axiom Space crew and SpaceX teams are going through their final checkouts in preparation for liftoff, and we'll be listening in as the comms chatter picks up in the lead up to launch.
Speaking of the lead up to launch, let's check in with the status on the pad with SpaceX's very own John I. John?
Thanks, Ronnie. And as Paul said, let's do it. Good morning. I'm John Innsbrucker, the Falcon Principal Integration Engineer at SpaceX. Now, you can follow along the countdown to liftoff with us today at the top or the bottom of your screen. Now, we're currently just inside T-minus 2 hours. Our team's been watching the weather today along both the ascent and the recovery corridors. And the good news is that the weather is looking excellent for the on-time launch coming up early this morning out of Kennedy Space Center. We're currently tracking roughly about a 10% probability of violation around the launch pad, and about 5% as we head into space along contingency locations along the eastern seaboard in the Atlantic Ocean. We'll keep you posted on the weather throughout the countdown, but I think this morning there's not going to be a whole lot to talk about. Now to pad 39A, as you can see on your monitors, Falcon 9 stands tall. We're powered up in preparation for launch. Engine checkouts were performed overnight. Pressurization of the Falcon gas storage tanks was completed earlier today, around T-minus 6.5 hours. And when we went live with the webcast, Falcon is just beginning its final checks for launch, and that's including a communication check with the crew. Now, as you saw a minute ago, there they are now. The crew's inside Dragon. We're just about to close the side hatch, and then we will go into the side hatch leak checks. A little bit later on this morning, an hour and 10 minutes from now, at T-minus 45 minutes, the launch director will pull the team for propellant load, and if we're go, propellant loading begins at T-minus 35 minutes. Now, as with all of our launches to the International Space Station, we have an instantaneous launch window, which today is just before 2:32 a.m. Eastern Time. If for any reason we're not able to launch today, our next opportunity will be tomorrow at 2:09 a.m. Eastern. Now, I'll be keeping you updated this morning from the status desk in Hawthorne. With that, Ronnie and Paul, back to you.
Thanks, John. We'd love to give you viewers a moment just to get to know our crew. And so I want to start with Peggy. Today's mission commander is Peggy Whitson of the United States. And we actually don't have enough time to cover her entire resume, which is incredible to say the least. But to give you just a few highlights, Peggy earned degrees in biology, chemistry, and biochemistry. She was the first female commander of the International Space Station. She spent over 675 total days in space, of which she's about to add a few more, and during which she logged 60 hours across 10 spacewalks. She's a two-time commander for Axiom Space, having previously served aboard AX-2, and she was just inducted as a member of the 2025 Astronaut Hall of Fame class. So congratulations, Peggy.
Next is mission pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of India, whose call sign as a test pilot is Shooks. Representing the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, Shooks is an astronaut designate of India's inaugural human spaceflight effort, Gangayaan, featuring an Indian-built rocket and spacecraft. He was commissioned into the Indian Air Force Fighter Wing in 2006. He achieved the rank of Group Captain in 2024 and has over 2,000 hours of flight experience aboard aircraft including the Sukhoi 30 MKI, MiG-29, Jaguar, Hawk, and Antonov An-32.
Our third crew member is Mission Specialist Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski of Poland. He is representing the European Space Agency as a project astronaut, coming from the reserve class of 2022, much like Marcus Want, who served as a mission specialist on AX-3 in January of 2024. A scientist by trade, Sławosz has earned his Master's of Science with honors from Łódź University of Technology in 2008. Additionally, he earned a Master of Science from Université de Nantes in France, as well as a graduate engineering diploma from Polytech Nantes in the same year. He also spent 2 years as the engineer in charge of the world-famous Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland, beginning in 2018.
And rounding out our crew is mission specialist Tibor Kapu of Hungary, who represents the Hungarian to Orbit Astronaut Program, or HUNOR. The program aims to send Hungarian astronauts to the International Space Station for scientific research and technological development, as well as to inspire young people. He graduated from the Budapest University of Technology and Economics, earning a degree in mechanical engineering, followed by a master's degree specializing in polymer technology. In 2023, Tibor emerged as one of 4 Hungarians selected from a pool of 247 candidates for the HUNOR astronaut program. He has invested a notable amount of time in his career focused on space radiation protection while awaiting his acceptance to HUNOR.
From the very beginning, Commander Whitson has set out to bring this group together to operate as a team. And they come from different cultures, each tasked with their own mission and research priorities. But in this moment, they are one unit, and they have become friends who trust and respect each other immensely. So together, they are the crew of Ax-4, Axiom Space's 4th private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. Today's flight represents the return to spaceflight for these 3 nations, but it also highlights the growing opportunities for many nations and entities around.
So you had a brief introduction of the crew from SpaceX's end, which I already covered. I did the extensive research about them, and I provided you all the details. But now, meanwhile, let me provide you some pre-launch timeline.
Here, we are seeing students and teachers at the Nar Baram Hansre English School in Jamshedpur, India, gathering together to watch Shubhanshu lift off. Well, greetings and namaste, students.
And now we're checking in on Poland. The launch party there is taking place inside the Copernicus Science Center in Warsaw. Waiting for a viewer's perspective because the whole webcast is displayed on the planetarium's dome there. The event is organized by the Ministry of Economic Development and Technology, the Polish Space Agency, and the European Space Agency, so hopefully we'll get a chance to check in with them soon.
Yes, we'll check in with them again, I'm sure. As folks continue to gather at these watch parties, as well as others across each country, we look forward to sharing their excitement live again and again as we get closer to launch.
Speaking of the excitement as we get closer to launch, I'd like to check in with John I again and get some updates from the launch pad. John?
Well, right now, things are continuing to press on, T-minus 1 hour, 50 minutes. We have closed the side hatch, and we are getting ready to start the leak check. Now, we talked
So that's a good thing. The
The reinspection noted a
Sorry, right now we're listening to
possible
communications
cause of
on the back
the
channels.
issue we saw earlier. So we have obviously reclosed the side hatch and we're stepping into
Okay,
the
right
side
now,
hatch leak
Dragon,
check.
we talked about an instantaneous
As
window.
are
We
in
need
pad
an
hatch
efficient
closed,
orbit
we
to
are
get
going
to the space
repeat
station.
our health check for launch escape system. So you can expect momentary flight computer state change again, followed by transition back to pad hatch closed. How copy?
So I guess there are some.
You found the fiber, and we are looking forward to another flight computer transition like we had before, as you repeat the leak check.
Yeah, that's a good readback.
Yeah, we're listening.
So as we heard the comms from the ground team with the SpaceX, with the commander in charge, Peggy Whitson, the side hatch was being closed previously, but they noticed there was a fiber. So once again, they have to reopen it and to close it. So I hope that won't be causing any delay, because today it's a instantaneous launch window. And meanwhile, let me just say you about the pre-launch timeline, which we are approximately 1 hour and 3 minutes from that to begin. At T-minus 45 minutes, countdown begins at that point, when SpaceX launch director gives the final go for the start of propellant load. At T-minus 42 minutes, team will be ready for the crew access arm retract. Right now, you can see on your screen on the left-hand side, there is a tunnel kind of to be attached with the Dragon spacecraft. That's its the crew access arm, and that will be retracting at T-minus 42 minutes. Both the launch control rooms and both the launch control rooms will go into a lockdown at T-minus 45 minutes and remain in that state until launch escape system is disarmed. Before they start fueling, they will arm the abort system. At T-minus 39 minutes, the crew members will close their visors in anticipation of arming the launch escape system. The emergency escape system, which uses Super Draco thrusters aboard the Dragon spacecraft, that will be used if for some reason the crew needs to make a quick escape. It will launch them very quickly away from the rocket. It's a part of safety measure for the crew. Now, if everything looks fine, prop load begins at T-minus 35 minutes mark with the loading of rocket-grade kerosene or the RP-1 on board the first and second stages of the Falcon 9 rocket. At the same time, LOX load, that is super chill liquid oxygen, will be loaded aboard the first stage. And then at T-minus 16 minutes, which will be the next event that we are looking for here in the timeline, that's when the second stage liquid oxygen load begins. At T-minus 7 minutes, that's when the chill down of 9 Merlin engines gets underway for the Falcon 9, which involves flowing a small amount of liquid oxygen through the plumbing and turbopumps that helps protect the engines from the risk of thermal shock and damage during the startup sequence. At about 6 minutes before liftoff, the first stage kerosene tanks should be full. At T-minus 5 minutes and 30 seconds, the strong back retract sequence begins. It will start with the clamp arms just underneath the Dragon trunk to open up. Then the transporter erector next to the Falcon 9. Right now it's supporting the Falcon 9 with the clamp arms, or the strong back will recline about 1.5 degrees away from the Falcon 9. It remains in that position until liftoff, at which point it rapidly pulls back to clear the way for the Falcon 9 rocket's vertical ascent. Now, just for quick knowledge, and I guess many of you are aware with, the strong back reclining process here at Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral differs from that at Vandenberg. Here at Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral, we recline the strong back about 1.5 degrees, whereas at Vandenberg, we recline the strong back 13 degrees away from the Falcon 9. Right now on your screen, you can see the crew and their family members greeting them. Now coming back to the let's listen to this.
Support building, which is just about a half mile away from the launch pad. Then, of course, they get into the Tesla Caravan together to go to Launch Complex 39A. You can see them moving into the Teslas there. We do, of course, divide the crew into 2 sets. So you're seeing some of our SpaceX support ninjas in the background there. Very excited crew on their way over to 39A. Once they reach the base of the tower, they do stop to take in Falcon 9 and Dragon, which is always my favorite shot, is getting to see this crew see their spacecraft for the first time in their suit on the lead up to launch. Here they are walking across the crew access arm before ingressing or entering. Here you are, you can see we've got our SpaceX team is checking the boarding passes of our crew before they get on board today.
Peggy's is gold, as I see.
You'll notice that Peggy's indicates that she is a frequent flyer with us here at SpaceX. Then, of course, our crew has the opportunity to sign the wall in the White Room, as all the astronauts who have launched from that tower have before them, and then one by one they ingress or enter the spacecraft. Got some great views here of them hugging this team goodbye. And as you mentioned earlier, Paul, they've been working together with these teams here for the last 10 months preparing for today.
You're right. So much of that is not just the work that they're going to do on station, but a lot of that is also just this moment, rehearsing with.
I guess they missed to show us the lift by which they get to the crew access arm, and where they press the button that space, instead of regular elevators where we press the buttons for the various floors to get on, but they are having a button named space, go to space or get to space, like that, and they press on that and then get to the crew access arm. And those scenes you saw that before the ingress or getting in aboard the Crew Dragon spacecraft. Now, getting back to the pre-launch timeline, at T-minus 5 minutes, the Dragon will be switching to its internal power. Next up, at T-minus approximately 3 minutes mark, the first stage liquid oxygen load should be complete, following by the second stage liquid oxygen loading, wrapping up at the T-minus 2 minutes mark. At that point, the Falcon 9 rocket is fully fueled with 1 million pounds of propellant. At T-minus 1 minute mark, the propellant tanks are brought up to flight pressure. And this final 60 seconds of countdown, the control of the flight system, that is the launch sequence, is handed over from the ground sequencer to the Falcon 9's onboard flight computers. If everything looks good, at T-minus 45 seconds mark, the SpaceX launch director will give the final go for the Falcon 9 liftoff. Now getting close to the liftoff, at T-minus 3 seconds, the engine ignition sequence start command being issued by the onboard engine controller. Finally, at T0, we will have liftoff.
Our second side hatch leak check was successful.
And great news there from Mission Control.
So,
happy to hear that. Great. You got it.
So that's a good news, really. As I mentioned before, that there was a fiber during the initial attempt of the side hatch closure, and it has to be extremely clean without any contamination, because the vehicle will be going through the max Q, having the maximum dynamic stress on the vehicle while during its ascent. So that makes the clean side hatch check ensures the safety and the crew health to be good. Now, I was just going to mention about the T0, where we will have the liftoff. If all 9 Merlin 1D engines ignite and are healthy, flight computers will give the command for the hold down clamps to release the Falcon 9 for the Axiom-4 mission. So right now, I think NASA has started its stream, and now let's listen to them.
With the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO. Their crew member, Shubhanshu Shukla, or Shuks, is our mission pilot. ISRO has been involved in space exploration for over 50 years, but only recently has put a clear emphasis on human exploration. Shuks is making that goal a reality today.
From the Indian Space Research Organization, Ax-4 pilot Shubhanshu Shukla.
Well, Angry Bird, thanks for reminding me. I turned my mic off, so please excuse me for that. I just mentioned that right now we can't play this audio track playing because they are having copyrighted music tracks and we are not allowed to play them on our stream. And previously we did saw Rakesh Sharma, who traveled to space previously from India, but to be precise, he traveled to space, not to International Space Station. So today it's the first time India will be getting aboard the International Space Station. It's a huge milestone for Indians and Indian Space Research Organization. And right now, I guess we will be having the backup crew for Shubhanshu Shukla.
Want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Sonia, for having me.
Well, let's talk about Shuks a little bit. When was the first time you met, and what was that meeting like, and what was your impression of him?
Oh, he's a fantastic guy. So we met a few years back. We are both fighter pilots and we are test pilots. So when we got selected for our own Gaganyaan program, that's when we met. And very few people know this. I am 9 years older to him.
Oh, really?
But I look younger, right?
You do.
Yeah. See, I'm not, hair still hasn't come out. Yeah, but that's when we met. And Shuks has been a fantastic guy. In the last 10 months when we have been training here, it has been such a satisfying thing for me to be his wingman, okay, as a fighter pilot lingo.
Right.
And he's got that drive and that focus in him on what he...
Angry Bird, the man talking right now on your screen is the backup crew for the Axiom-4 mission, Prashant Nair, and he is also a astronaut, the 4 astronauts selected from India for India's very own indigenous Gaganyaan program.
Why he's in that pilot seat. Yeah. Tell me about the 10 months of training that you all went through. What was a point that stuck out to you? What was the overall experience like?
The overall experience was, I didn't know whether it was work. It was more like, coming to one big picnic, and imagine you're doing space training.
Yeah.
And in that, when you can actually make it really cool, at the same time professional, that has been our experience. It's been really marvelous. Training with Axiom, NASA, SpaceX, with the other countries, and Peggy. It's been fantastic.
A legend. You get to train with a legend. Now, I have seen you do some of the training, but the food training, I think maybe was one of your favorites.
Yeah, well, you can't. The army marches on its stomach, right? Yeah, and the astronauts also fly to space on our stomach only. Yeah, the food was the fantastic part, and we went for this NOLS training, National Outdoor Leadership School in Baja.
We really got to bond as a team.
It was fantastic, because we realized it's in such situations when we are kayaking and the weather was down and when the resources are low and the only thing we have to back on is each other. It was fantastic to know each other really threadbare.
Well, Angry Bird, I guess you understood that Peggy is a favorite of everyone.
Because when going to space or doing such kind of activity, the most important thing is to know your teammates' weak points so that you can be there to support him.
Right. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Papa, for being here. Good luck to you. Good luck to India. Good luck to the entire ISRO agency. We're here now, finally. Good luck.
No, definitely. Thank you for having me. And I want to, on behalf of Axiom and all, give a big shout out to my Prime Minister, my Chairman, my wife Lena, and my daughter Nandini, and my parents, and everyone back home. Thank you everyone and all my countrymen.
Indeed.
Jai Hind.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Well, let's meet our next crew member. We'll take a closer look at Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski and the return to space flight for the nation of Poland. Sław is continuing and growing the partnership between Axiom Space and ESA. His scientific background and energetic spirit make him an incredible asset and truly engaging addition to this diverse crew.
So we have to again mute the audio because of copyright issues. Well, he's Angry Bird, he's cracking jokes, but he's quite a serious man. That's why he is there right now. He's a fighter jet pilot, so you can understand that how serious he can be during his times. So right now on your screen is the ESA project astronaut Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski. It took me at least 7 days to spell it in a right way, but I'm pretty sure I'm still not resembling the Polish accent to take his name. And it's quite impressive that he worked at CERN as well as Large Hadron Collider. Those are the very important organizations for the fundamental physics exploration. I guess you guys will be knowing that what is the purpose of Large Hadron Collider. There we make particles to collide at a very high speed, and we do notice what other particles are emitting from two-electron collision or any other particles. I guess you guys will be knowing more the name of Higgs boson particle, neutrino, or these are the particles to be getting detected during the collision that made during in the Large Hadron Collider.
I'm joined now by Frank Duane, ESA, ISS, and Terra Nova.
Now again, we will be having the backup crew for the
How's it feel to be just yards from here at Kennedy?
Poland. That is, oh no, he is not the backup crew. Although we do have a backup crew for the Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski. I hope he will be joining on the stream later.
And this is your ESA's second time launching a project astronaut with Axiom Space. It's a new concept. What kind of lessons learned did you get from Ax-4 the first time a project astronaut?
Don't know about that, Angry Bird, they are hot or not, but indeed they are intelligent. I must agree that.
For ESA and for our member states. We can do a lot of science on those missions, technology development. For example, during the mission here with Sławosz.
I guess you are having a crush on this astronaut or something, like how I had a crush on Crew 7 astronaut.
Capability in our member states, gaining support for our exploration program, so these missions can be highly successful for ESA and for the member states that decides to implement them.
And does it also grow the pool of astronauts in a unique way? What are you finding as the the pool is growing?
Well, the pool is growing a little bit, of course. The project astronauts, after their mission, they go back to their normal job. But of course, they remain astronauts. They remain advocacies for space, for education, for STEM. This is also a big part of this mission, inspiration. That we want to bring. If we want to fight climate change, for example, in the future, we need more and more engineers, we need more scientists, and this is needed for our society. So inspiration is also a very important part of this mission.
So tell us a little bit about Sławosz. Why was he chosen? Why was he chosen for this mission? What do you think he's going to bring to the table during the mission and after?
Well, Sławosz, in the first place, of course, is an excellent scientist. He has worked a lot in CERN as an engineer and a scientist, so he brings that aspect, of course, with him. He has a great personality. If you see pictures of Sławosz, he's always smiling, so that is also something that he can bring to a crew, but also to the European Astronaut Corps. And then again, in Poland, he's really a hero, he's really a star. And that's really great for the young kids that can look up to him and that can also invest their careers in science and in technology.
So you think it's going to make a huge impact in Poland?
Now, just to remind you, during the previous Axiom mission, that is Axiom Mission 3, there we had the crew from France, from Turkey, and as well as from ESA, that is European Space Agency, who was the Marcus 1 representing the European Space Agency during the Axiom 3 mission. And I get, yes, it's true. I'm remembering it right. That Axiom Mission 3 was headed or being commanded by Michael from the Axiom Space.
In the future to do this, and that's why Sławosz and this mission will be a great success, I believe.
Thank you so much, Frank. Thank you for being here. Good luck to ESA. Congratulations to ESA and the country of Poland. And I can't wait for this wonderful evening. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, let's move on to our next crew member. It's Tibor Kapu. It's an exciting time for his country and his mission, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. This Central European nation is among those who have more recently turned their attention to spaceflight, adopting a formal strategy to get a Hungarian into space for the first time since 1980. This is a return to space that's been 45 years in the making. This is Hunor astronaut Tibor Kapu.
Once again, my apologies. We can't play the audio feed during these clips because they contain copyrighted tracks, and we can't play them on our stream. Right now, you can see some of the views of Tibor Kapu, the second mission specialist in today's mission. Just a quick fun fact, today's zero-G indicator Joy was named Joy, proposed by Tibor Kapu itself. Well, he was a mechanical engineer, getting his master's degree in mechanical engineer from Budapest University of Technology and Economics, where he specialized in polymer technology. Also worth noting, his dad was a mechanical engineer as well. And right now you can see the training process for the Axiom-4 mission, and those of who saw the Polaris Dawn mission, they really is a similar kind of rigorous training they have to go through before getting to be launched. Also, Kapu worked in Belgium and United States. That made him to gain international expertise before joining an aerospace technology company back in 2022 to focus on space radiation protection. And his selection from 247 candidates through rigorous 2-year process of Hunor underscores his technical and physical preparedness.
I'm joined now by Gyula Szirinyi, a fellow Hungarian astronaut who has been selected alongside Tibor in Hunor's first class of astronauts. Thank you so much for being here, Gyula. You and Tibor were selected around the same time. Tell us what that moment was like.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be here. Well, it's a really interesting story because we had a really long selection process, and after the selection, we had 14 months of basic training in Hungary. And even in these 14 months, we've been to the US and we've met Axiom people. We've been to Axiom, and they also were part of our selection. And after that, our selection happened from the four of us, 2 of us were selected to do the mission-specific training we are here right now and doing right now.
Well, Angry Bird, we all are in space, and Romania for sure will be going soon. They are working with the United Launch Alliances, even with the Blue Origin. I mentioned you before that the Blue Origin recovery vessel Jacqueline, which was named after Jeff Bezos' mom, was initially being prepared at the Romania.
Really intense for us. But the basic training were finished and we could continue our training, but we didn't have a lot of time between selection and the Axiom-4 training. We had around just 1 month of period when we were selected and waiting for a mission.
And what stands out to you from that training, from the Ax-4 training? What stands out? Something that was really bonding, something that surprised you?
From the bonding perspective, if you ask for that, I would say that our nose training were amazing, which was when we were at Mexico with the.
That's what Papa said, that he loved being.
He did say that. Yeah. Oh yes, that was amazing but it's a great analogy of being on the space station. You are not a very well comfortable position with the crew. You have to solve problems. It's really like being on the space station, and so I really enjoyed that part. But we've done so many things. It was an amazing journey.
Tibor has a very intense mission when he's on the ISS. Lots of things to do. What's he going to bring to the table when he's on the ISS?
So. From Hungary, all of the experiments we are going up there is Hungarian experiments, and it's like a really good opportunity for Hungarian researchers to show and to
those of who joining us right now, thanks for tuning in. You guys enjoyed the stream. I will be joining you guys in a while. I'll see you soon, guys.
Growing plants in space.
So many things.
He's got amazing.
So many things, but bringing along the entire country of Hungary with him into space with all of these activities. Thank you so much for being here, giving us a little peek into your training up until this moment. Congratulations to you, to your entire country.
Thank you so much.
And now it's time for our commander. Let's introduce you to Peggy Whitson. You may be well aware of Peggy's incredible resume. She brings nearly 30 years of experience as an astronaut and decades more as a leader in technical and scientific fields. A second-time commander for the Axiom missions and the latest addition to the Astronaut Hall of Fame. This is the one and only Peggy Whitson.
Firstly, would like to welcome Dr. Zoltan Vazo for joining us on our channel. And about your question that why I'm talking over the audio, because I'm the host here on our channel, and we are giving some extra insights. I hope you will be going back into the stream if you want to get more insight into today's mission launch. And also, it's essential for me to be on the stream because it's our channel. And once again, to everyone, apologies that we can't play these audio tracks right now, having copyrighted tracks on them, so we can't play them on our stream. But anyways, Dr. Zoltan Vazo, I hope I'm pronouncing your name well. If not, I'm sorry for that. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you will be enjoying the stream. This one is Peggy's first flight during 2002 when she was rookie, and today here we are where she is having a huge list of achievement on her resume, being a veteran. He became the first ISS commander, female ISS commander, and also to be holding that role for 2 times. She also served as the first ISS science officer and was featured in Time's 100 most influential people back in 2018.
I'm joined now by Axiom Space's Chief Strategy Officer, Matt Onler. Matt, thanks for being here. Where else would you be, though?
No, thanks for having me. This is a fantastic day. Going to be a fantastic launch tonight.
So let's talk about Peggy Whitson. Tough question. Can you describe her in 4 words?
Sure, you hit me with a hard question right off the bat. I'm going to go with gracious space professional leader.
That's pretty good. That's pretty excellent. When Peggy's not preparing to go to space or recovering from coming back from space, what is she doing in the office day to day?
Yeah, she's actually very helpful. Her and our other astronauts for Axiom are really helpful in helping us design our space station. And actually, she gets right back to it. After her last mission, it was only about a week, and I found her in the lab helping engineers. We were designing the payload rack, and those sort of insights of had worked in microgravity are really, really important and valuable for our engineers.
And I know just walking around the office, you feel like, oh, it's Peggy Whitson. And then she's working alongside you and she's giving you great advice, showing you how to be a leader in every single moment. So it's really wonderful to have her, but also watch her on a mission on the ISS. What excites you about commercial space travel?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that excite me about commercial space, but one of the things that I think is going to be so amazing and really change the world is the things that we're going to be able to make in space that you can't otherwise make. You know, we're flying over 60 experiments on this flight. A few of those are repeat, where we've flown this particular team on all 4 of our missions, and by leveraging microgravity and how it affects cancer tumor growth and stem cell growth, they're discovering novel treatments for cancer. And I think those sort of things are just one of many, many examples that are going to occur once we have a commercial space station up there.
So this is our 4th mission. Wonderful to see all the growth from 1, 2, 3, and now 4. What are the opportunities for international partners, for foreign nations?
Yeah, I really think that we are becoming the world's space agency and really helping lots of countries emerge in space. This particular mission is a great example where all 3 of these countries have flown 1 astronaut before, but it was all 40 years ago. So almost 2 generations for these countries. And so it's very, very impactful and very, very humbling to be able to help these countries. You know, one of the things that I Googled this morning was there are 350 million children in India under age 15. So there's more children in India under age 15 than there are people in the United States. I hope all 350 million of those watch the launch and are inspired by it and want to get into space and exploration and engineering and math.
I know that there are watch parties happening right now all around the world, so those children hear you and they will be inspired by this mission. I'm so excited to see what comes out of it and what happens in the future.
Awesome, me too.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you back in Houston in a couple of days.
All right, thank you.
Well, this has been an exciting time to learn about all of our crew members. We're going to send it back to Ronnie at Hawthorne.
Thanks so much, Sonia. Now we get to talk about one of my favorite parts of human spaceflight, which is the zero-G indicator. To prepare for the mission, the crew trained at the National Outdoor Leadership School, or NOLS, which takes the crew on a wilderness expedition to help build camaraderie, navigate unpredictable circumstances, and operate in a remote environment. Every crew develops a unique bond in the midst of shared challenges, and as they discovered at NOLS, this one is no different.
And as you heard from Papa and Jula, Knowles stood out amongst all of their training. They faced days of harsh winds and challenging weather conditions that limited the range of their expedition at Knowles. But afterwards, their instructor commented how extraordinarily this crew collectively exuded a sense of joy throughout. In spite of whatever came at them, they still maintained this attitude, overcoming each challenge with a smile and a willingness to lift each other up. So to celebrate their unique bond, the crew chose a baby swan as their zero-G indicator, which they've named Joy. And as luck would have it, we have our very own Joy, the baby swan, to serve as our microgravity indicator. And yeah, as luck has it, we have a full dose of gravity.
Bummer for us.
So, but we should keep it here just in case, safe and sound. In case any of that changes, we'll have our own gravity indicator. Let us know.
Speaking of training, as you might imagine, astronaut preparation can be extensive. From training that is specific to each crew member's role to learning SpaceX protocols, space station systems, and preparing for the science and outreach activities they'll be conducting in space, private astronaut training is rigorous. In addition to the work in the field like they did through Knowles, the Ax-4 crew spent about 35 days training inside Dragon. To prepare them for flight, our teams at SpaceX spent the last several months teaching the crew about orbital mechanics and how to live in Dragon. While this was, of course, more of a review for Peggy Whitson, for the rest of the crew, this will be their first time flying to space. The training program includes nearly 100 different lessons covering all aspects of flight. The crew spent time inside our Dragon training spacecraft to run simulations of ascent, space station rendezvous, and reentry. They also spent time at the launch pad in our suit-up room and working through emergency procedures that would be necessary in the unlikely event of a pad abort.
And in addition to the critical training from SpaceX associated with those dynamic phases of ascent and return, Axiom Space facilitated a host of training efforts over the last 10 months to ensure the Axiom-4 crew and all those who support them are ready for their mission on station. Kicking off efforts at Axiom Space headquarters in August of 2024, this crew immediately began to familiarize themselves with the range of teams and systems and operations they would need to become proficient with in order to succeed. So from selecting the food they would eat and learning how to prepare it with the food warming and hydration systems on orbit, to understanding the tools and systems available to them throughout the station, learning every seemingly small detail is critical to ensure mission success. While in Building 9 at Johnson Space Center, the crews learned and rehearsed routine operations, medical procedures, emergency situations, and media outreach engagements. All of these lessons built up to full-scale simulations that were run in coordination with ground teams at Johnson and around the world.
And as the name of the International Space Station suggests, specific modules are owned and operated by different nations. The crew traveled to Japan to learn the systems of the Japanese experiment module, also known as Kibo. With hands-on training that culminated in a round of testing, the crew became certified to use Kibo for their flight. The crew then traveled to Germany to earn their certification for the systems in the European module, known as Columbus. As an ESA project astronaut, Sławosz had additional trainings at the European Astronaut Center.
And beyond the specific requirements of each space station module, the crew participated in a range of efforts that would not only bond them into a crew, but also ensure they were physically and mentally prepared for any scenario surrounding their space flight. This included, as we've mentioned, a week of training with the National Outdoor Leadership School, where the crew faced a week of kayaking against heavy winds, but it also featured a day in an altitude chamber to experience how their bodies react to different oxygen levels, and even a round in helicopter underwater escape training, among many others.
And all of that is necessary to set the stage for the work they will be doing on the International Space Station. We are now at T-minus 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 50 seconds from liftoff of the Axiom-4 mission. As the countdown continues, let's take a closer look at the vehicles that will be taking the Ax-4 crew to the International Space Station today. At the very top is our Dragon spacecraft. This is where the crew is currently sitting and will spend their 28-hour flight to the orbiting lab. With the capacity to carry up to 7 passengers, Dragon has proven to be quite a versatile spacecraft.
For status update.
We're going to listen into this status update.
What's the update?
All right, Peggy, we are troubleshooting an issue with uploading the current wind conditions to the vehicle. This must be completed before launch escape system is armed so that the vehicle can correctly target offshore splashdown in the event of an escape. We're tracking several troubleshooting paths at this time and are working to resolve the issue, so I will follow up with you in 10 minutes on the status. How copy?
Copy. You're troubleshooting the ability to upload the wind conditions for the launch escape system, and you'll update us in 10. Thanks.
Yep. And just to make that super crystal clear, if we do not successfully upload this by the time we get to LES arm, we will be no-go for launch.
I was thinking you might be thinking that as well. Dragon copies.
So you just heard from the comms there. It's me, AstroYonder from me, Dipto from AstroYonder team. That's a little bit critical news we got from the comms out there with SpaceX and between the commander for today's mission, Peggy Whitson. Right now, the SpaceX team is checking in some issues with the upper level winds. Because that is very much to be precisely controlled, and it has to be within the limits so that during the launch escape system, the Dragon spacecraft can splash down in a good way, making sure the crew is safe and sound. If the wind levels at the upper level winds will be high, then the Dragon spacecraft during its launch abort system, if needed, will be splashing down and will be deviating from its desired trajectory. So hopefully, we heard from the comms they will be giving a update in upcoming 10 minutes, and if those among very other issues right now they are troubleshooting, so if there will be what can I say, that if they won't be able to resolve those issues, so there will be a no-go for today's launch. Well, there is nothing to be disheartened as of now. We will be getting an update less than approximately 8 minutes from now. We are still resuming the countdown as the SpaceX team resolves those troubleshooting they are doing right now with the issues.
After today's launch, the first stage will be returning to SpaceX's Landing Zone 1 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, which is just about 9 miles away from Launch Complex 39A.
Above the first stage and below Dragon is Falcon 9's second stage, which will secure Dragon's entry into low Earth orbit before separating, leaving Dragon to continue its journey to the space station.
Beautiful wide shot of Falcon 9 on your screen there. We've got the crew access arms still in place leading up to the Dragon spacecraft. And Falcon 9 right there in the middle is SpaceX's workhorse vehicle, having completed 492 missions since its first flight in 2010, more than any other rocket flying today. And through missions like today's, Dragon is helping lay the groundwork for deep space exploration, rapidly expanding our knowledge of how humans will adapt, live, and work in space. It's hard to believe that it's been 5 years since Dragon radically changed how humanity gets to space. After the space shuttle program ended in 2011, NASA astronauts primarily used the Russian Soyuz spacecraft to travel to and from the International Space Station. From 2011 to 2020, the Soyuz was the only human-capable launch vehicle available. In December 2010, Dragon became the first commercially built and operated spacecraft to be recovered successfully from orbit. This mission, known as COTS-1, was the first demonstration flight for NASA's Commercial Orbital Transportation Services, or COTS program. The purpose of COTS was to develop and demonstrate commercial sources for cargo resupply of the ISS. Fun fact, the Dragon that flew on that historic mission is currently hanging behind us in front of SpaceX Mission Control in Hawthorne. Just 10 years later, in May 2020, Demo 2 launched astronauts from U.S. soil for the first time in nearly a decade. Demo 2 was Dragon's first human spaceflight mission. The spacecraft, named Endeavour, carried NASA astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken to the International Space Station in the first orbital human spaceflight launched from the United States since that final space shuttle mission in 2011, and it was the first ever operated by a commercial provider. Alongside the NASA missions, Dragon has also flown several private missions to orbit.
And just to give you a quick knowledge about what you saw previously about the Dragon Demo 2 mission, you saw the crew which flew for the first time, testing the Dragon, getting to be docked with the International Space Station. That was Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken. And after them only, SpaceX renamed their recovery vessels in honor to the first crew to get launched aboard the Crew Dragon.
Human spaceflight missions and flown 66 crew members representing 17 countries. Overall, Dragon has flown 52 missions, carrying over 300,000 pounds of cargo to space. In the history of human spaceflight, fewer than 700 people have ever been to orbit. At SpaceX, we want to help create a future where not just hundreds of people, but thousands and ultimately millions of people can travel off Earth to live and work in space and on other planets.
Each of those missions you just mentioned represent truly significant firsts that have helped shape this generation of human spaceflight. And at Axiom Space, we've had the opportunity to provide foundational firsts as well. Working with SpaceX and NASA on all three of our orbital spaceflight missions to date, to fully appreciate the progress being made together, it's worth noting that our three flights have helped provide greater access and set new precedents worldwide for private astronaut missions aboard the International Space Station, all within the last 4 years. And I'd love to take a quick look back at just a few of these with you now. On April 8th, 2022, just over 3 years ago, Axiom Mission 1 launched aboard Dragon Endeavour on a mission that would span 17 days on orbit, with 15 days of those on board the International Space Station. Led by Commander Michael Lopez Alegria, the crew facilitated 26 research payloads and participated in over 30 STEAM events. Beyond the onboard science efforts, this mission was a pivotal moment for the community at large, serving as a proof of concept for how private operations could be conducted on the orbiting lab in conjunction with the expedition crews living aboard the International Space Station. This was the next step in human spaceflight collaboration. So this was followed up a little over a year later by Axiom Mission 2, which launched aboard Dragon Freedom.
For awareness, we're cycling the orbit tank isolation valves to equalize low flow pressure.
Dragon copies.
Pausing there for that update. And I believe that may be all for that. I'll pick up where we were. So Commander Peggy Whitson led American John Schaffner and 2 Saudi Arabian national astronauts, Ali Al-Qarni and Rayana Barnawi, on a 10-day mission outside our atmosphere with over 8 days aboard the orbiting laboratory. And over the course of their 126 orbits, they conducted 26 research efforts and participated in 20 STEAM events. This became the first private mission with government-sponsored astronauts. And last year, in January of 2024, we conducted Axiom Mission 3, which saw Commander Michael Lopez Alegria once again lead a crew to the station. This was our longest flight to date at over 21 days, covering 346 orbits. The crew spent over 18 days on station and worked with 54 payloads, conducted 28 STEAM engagements. Flying once again on Dragon Freedom, this was the first all-European astronaut mission to the International Space Station. And here we are today. With Axiom Mission 4, we add a projected 14 more days of operational flight heritage and make possible an additional 60 research payloads. Each of these flights builds on the one that came before it, certainly, but it also is meant to open up access to low Earth orbit just a little bit more, providing opportunities for more nations and organizations than ever before to participate in human spaceflight. It's the fact that now 11 nations have been represented across our flights that speaks to the success of missions like these.
We visited with the crew of Ax-4 to get their thoughts on what our collective future in space looks like.
Hi guys, I'm Dipto from AstroYonder team, providing the commentary and insights for today's mission launch. And we are right now waiting for an update which we update to receive from SpaceX's ground control team, where they are troubleshooting some of the issues right now going on. And the main concern is a high upper level winds that can interfere with the Dragon's launch escape system, where the Dragon uses its Super Draco thrusters to make the Dragon spacecraft away from the Falcon 9 and to safely splash down in the East Coast. But if the upper level high winds will be not favorable, that can cause the trajectory of the Dragon spacecraft during the launch escape system to deviate from its normal trajectory, and that can harm the crew on board the Dragon spacecraft. So right now we are waiting for that update from ground team.
Last forever, but there's a lot in the works today to enable even more research and more capabilities off planet.
Of course. And so for Axiom Space, missions like Ax-4, as we've said, not only create opportunities for our customers to accomplish their goals in microgravity, but they are also invaluable in developing our teams and our systems for our own future Axiom station.
When the time comes and the International Space Station reaches the end of its operational life,
Dragon Space X4 awareness, we are continuing troubleshooting on the wind file upload. It has not been resolved yet. Troubleshooting is continuing.
It's a follow-up on that comment we had earlier.
Dragon copy, continuing troubleshooting.
We are going to keep working this issue in the lead up to launch.
So there we have the update there, guys, that they are still troubleshooting the issues with the upper level winds that can interfere with the Dragon's escape system if required in today's flight. Although it's a rare case for SpaceX, but when it comes to a human space flight, we can take in a risk, and we have to make sure that the upper level winds are favorable for the launch escape system if needed. So for that, they are now troubleshooting the issue. We got the update from the comms, but we still didn't got a clear answer for the issues and for their redressal.
We call the Payload Power Thermal Module, or PPTM. This module is designed to receive any critical hardware, payloads, or tools from the ISS that the international community may want to continue to utilize. Then that will undock, detaching from the space station and rendezvous with our second module, known as Habitat Module 1. Together, these two modules can support 4 crew members and enable a host of manufacturing and research efforts in microgravity. From there, the station will continue to build out over the following years until we have built out an entire Axiom station, as you see it there, with a second habitation module, an airlock, the open windows down below, the Earth Observatory, and the research and manufacturing lab. All of this, once fully assembled, allows Axiom Station to enable customers to forge their own future in low Earth orbit.
Speaking of our future in low Earth orbit, let's get a status update from John I about today's mission.
Ronnie, we're just inside T-minus 53 minutes. We're continuing to count down. Obviously, the thing we're waiting to hear from over the countdown net is the troubleshooting going on with the wind upload of data to the Dragon spacecraft. We heard just a couple of minutes ago, they're still working on it. We have to have that on board before we get to essentially crew access armor tracked and then launch escape system armed. So we're going to continue to monitor that as we get a little bit closer. Now on the Falcon 9, good news, the chief engineer pulled the team. They don't see any issues right now. They'll be doing their final pull at T-minus 45 minutes or so to go into propellant load. Now, we talked about Dragon. They're working no other issues other than getting the wind file uploaded. The good news, weather, the weather officer T-minus 1 hour said phenomenal. So we'll take that all night long. And then finally, around the launch pad, flight danger, hazard areas are clear. Both around both pad 39A as well as tonight landing zone 1, because the first stage is coming back about 9 miles south of the launch site. So currently everything continuing to look good except for that one issue we're working on Dragon. We'll keep listening in, we'll bring an update, we'll keep our fingers crossed, but we're coming up on T-minus 51 minutes, everything continuing to count down, hopefully to an on-time launch just less than an hour from now.
Attention Falcon launch operators. The propellant load and launch go pull is open in step 11.87 of 1.160.
We just got an update from the comms that we will be having a go no go poll coming up soon, and right now 5 minutes from now we will be having the first call out from the ground control team from SpaceX for the director giving the go for the start of propellant load.
To support today's launch. This attempt comes after NASA and Roscosmos discussed recent repair work in the transfer tunnel at the aftmost segment of the Orbital Labs Zvezda service module. And now we are all looking forward to the Axiom-4 crew being on board space station soon. We'll provide a full space station status update in a few minutes, but know we need to bring everyone up to speed on today's activities and the launch status. So for now, back to you, Ronnie.
Thanks, Sandra. We'll hear more from Mission Control in just a few minutes, but we do want to take a moment first to introduce everyone to the crew of Ax-4. Aside from Axiom Space Commander Peggy Whitson, each crew member represents a return to human spaceflight for their nation after more than 40 years.
And starting with our commander, today's mission is led by Peggy Whitson of the United States. There is simply not enough time to cover her entire resume, but to give you just a few highlights, Peggy has earned degrees in biology, chemistry, and biochemistry. She was the first female commander of the International Space Station. She has spent over 675 total days in space, during which she logged 60 hours across 10 spacewalks. She's also a two-time commander for Axiom Space, having previously served aboard AX-2, and she was just inducted as a member of the 2025 Astronaut Hall of Fame. So congratulations and well-deserved, Peggy.
Next is mission pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of India, whose call sign as a test pilot is Shuks. Representing the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, Shukla is also an astronaut designate of India's inaugural human spaceflight effort, Gangayaan, featuring an Indian-built rocket and spacecraft. He was commissioned into the Indian Air Force Fighter Wing in 2006 and achieved the rank of Group Captain in 2024. He has over 2,000 hours of flight experience aboard a variety of aircraft.
And our third crew member is Mission Specialist Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski of Poland. He is representing the European Space Agency as a project astronaut, coming from the reserve class of 2022, much like Marcus Want, who served as a mission specialist on AX-3. A scientist by trade, Sławosz has earned his Master of Science with honors from Łódź University of Technology in 2008. He holds a second Master of Science and a graduate engineering diploma as well. He also spent 2 years as the engineer in charge of the world-famous Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland, beginning in 2018.
And rounding out this crew is mission specialist Tibor Kapu of Hungary, who represents the Hungarian to Orbit Astronaut Program, or HUNOR. He graduated from the Budapest University of Technology and Economics, earning a degree in mechanical engineering, followed by a master's degree specializing in polymer technology. In 2023, Tibor emerged as one of 4 Hungarians selected from a pool of 247 candidates for the HUNOR astronaut program.
And together, they are the crew of Ax-4, Axiom Space's 4th private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. Today's flight represents the return to spaceflight for 3 nations, but it also highlights the growing opportunities for nations and entities around the world to conduct meaningful work in low Earth orbit. And right now, as you see there, Peggy, Shukla, Sławosz, and Tibor sit inside Dragon. There are colleagues and students and space enthusiasts the world over gathering to cheer them on here at the start of their mission. And so we'd love to share just a few live streams that we're getting from launch parties in India and Poland. And here we are. First is a wonderful shot of a school in India. These are the students and teachers at the Naberam Hansre English School in Jamshedpur, India, gathering together to watch Shubhanshu lift off. How exciting.
Now we have great views from Poland. Crowds are beginning to gather here, including children from Polish schools, to witness Sławosz's launch on the planetarium's dome. The event was organized by the Ministry of Economic Development and Technology, the Polish Space Agency, and the European Space Agency. I love seeing these views from around the world.
It's truly incredible. The joy, the excitement around the world.
You have a go for Section 5, and when ready, report go for launch. For awareness, we are still troubleshooting the wind upload file. I will have a few more words for you after you confirm your go for launch.
Wilco, inward, Section 5. From SpaceX Dragon, we are go for launch. Section 5 is complete.
Copy, Section 5 complete. All right, for awareness on timeline, we have to have the launch escape system armed by T-minus 37 minutes. So we are going to take this as far as we can. What I'll need from you guys is a very fast turn on the commanding for launch escape arm, provided we get to that point. I'll copy.
Copy. Understand LES has to be armed by no later than T-minus 37 minutes, and we will be prepared.
Copy that.
So there's a confirmation call out there from the SpaceX's ground team.
Disarm, retract, and propellant load and launch pending resolution of the winds upload issue. For all operators in MCC and Hangar X, both controls are going to lockdown at T-minus 45 minutes and will remain in that state until the LES system is disarmed. All operators are to remain at their console and maintain a sterile cockpit until the ND confirms successful disarming of the launch escape system following orbit insertion or propellant offload in the event of a scrub. For non-urgent no-go conditions, brief the CE or LD and they will approve aborting the countdown. For urgent issues affecting the safety of the operation, operators shall call hold on the countdown net. Launch control will abort the launch auto sequence immediately and proceed until the launch abort auto sequence. At T-minus 10 seconds, launch control will be hands-off and relying on automated abort criteria for the remainder of the count. Operators shall advise the launch director whether structural breakup or fire is imminent or occurring per Dragon manual escape flight rules. Launch control, you may proceed with arming the crew arm for movement.
Okay, we're at T-minus 43 minutes, 15 seconds and counting. You've heard the SpaceX launch director giving final instructions to the team. We have cleared our propellant loading pole.
Crew access arm retraction has started.
And now we've heard, and you can see on the screen, crew access arm is pulling away from the Dragon spacecraft. This is going to take about a minute, minute and a half to retract all the way. Then we'll get confirmation it is in the launch position. The next step after that is going to be the crew, close the visors, confirm that, and then begin launch escape arming. As we mentioned, we want to get launch escape arming finished by about T-minus 37 minutes, which means we've got about 5 minutes to finish troubleshooting the wind upload to the Dragon vehicle. Now, currently on Falcon 9, all conditions are go on the launch vehicle. That was the poll that we, and the instructions we heard from the launch director. Dragon's working its one issue. Weather looks good. Range is ready to support.
Crew access arm retraction complete.
All right, that is the confirmation. The arm is back in the launch position. Next.
So we got the updates up there at right time. The crew access arm got retracted, that is T-minus 42 minutes. We got a final go for the propellant load. As of now, there are no issues with the Falcon 9 vehicle. They will be we'll be waiting for the launch escape system to be armed. Now, just after the in general, just after T-minus 42 minutes, both the launch control rooms go into the lockdown at T-minus 45 minutes and remain in that state until launch escape system is disarmed. Now, before they start fueling, they will arm the abort system. Now they are pushing it to a little bit more further as they are troubleshooting some issues with the upper wind level airs that can hinder with the launch escape system in case it will be needed. Just for a quick knowledge, the emergency escape system or the launch escape system, LES, which uses super Dragon thrusters on board the Dragon capsule. It is needed for some reason. The crew needs to make a quick escape. It will launch them very quickly away from the rocket. Although it's quite rare in case of SpaceX, but we have to make sure that the launch escape system works as intended. Now we are just getting close to 2 minutes from now, and there we have just 2 minutes to troubleshoot the issues with the upper wind level airs, which I mentioned that can hinder with the launch escape system. As of now, everything looks fine. Otherwise, only about that troubleshooting that is now going on. The range looks good. There are absolutely no issues with the Falcon 9. Crew access arm got retracted. Now, at this point, we are seeing the crew having their visors closed in anticipation for arming the launch escape system. So now let's pay some more attention for the comms.
Right now, as we talked about earlier, the space station orbit is passing over Kennedy Space Center. Getting everything aligned.
SpaceX wind upload is complete. You are go for section 6, close visors and arm launch escape system.
Visors are closed and arming launch escape system now.
All right.
So that's a good news. We are not having any issues. They gave a clear go for the launch escape system to be getting armed. So I guess the troubleshooting for the upper wind level is resolved. Now let's keep our fingers crossed that no more issues will be coming up in between. I guess this gives a passive go for the launch. So we are getting at T-minus 37 minutes and 50 seconds. Next up, we will have the rocket grade kerosene or the RP1 on board the first and the second stages of the Falcon 9 at T-minus 35 minutes. And at the same time, ROX load, that is the supercharged liquid oxygen, will be loaded on board the first stage. And right now, the launch escape system is verified that it is armed right now. You can see the energy vibes there about among the crew members. So now enjoy the stream. I will be joining you guys in a while.
And the Axiom-4 crew. Private astronaut missions are an important component of NASA's strategy for enabling a strong and competitive economy in low Earth orbit. Unique to Axiom-4, NASA is collaborating with the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, on 5 joint science investigations and 2 on-orbit STEM demonstrations, which help showcase the strength of international collaboration and the shared commitment to expanding access to space. As the International Space Station nears the end of its operational life, NASA plans to transition to a new model featuring commercial space stations to maintain its leadership in microgravity research and ensure a sustainable access to low Earth orbit for the benefit of humanity. So let's take a moment now to learn more about the International Space Station and NASA's commercial future in low Earth orbit.
We are sorry that we can't play the audio feed during these clips they are playing because they contain copyrighted tracks and that we are not permitted to use on our stream. Meanwhile, just let me give you a quick post-launch timeline. At T plus 50 seconds into the flight, Falcon 9 will pass through max Q, a point of greatest aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Then a couple of important steps will coming up in rapid succession. First will be that will be at T plus 2 minutes and 25 seconds, where first stage main engine cutoff will occur, that also known as the MECO, followed by a major milestone within just 3 seconds from that. That is at T plus 2 minutes and 28 seconds, where first and second stage will separate from each other. Just after 8 seconds later, second stage MVAC engine will ignite for the first time during today's flight. That is also known as ACS-1 at T plus 2 minutes and 36 seconds. Then at 2 minutes and 42 seconds, the Falcon 9 booster performs 46 seconds long boost back burn, bringing its instantaneous impact point, also known as IIP in short, to the vicinity of the launch site, ending the boost back burn at 3 minutes and 28 seconds. Coming to T plus 6 minutes and 18 seconds, the first stage entry burn will begin, lasting for 23 seconds for up to 6 minutes and 41 seconds mark, ending the entry burn for the Falcon 9's first stage. Next major milestone will be at T plus 7 minutes and 22 seconds. The first stage landing burn will commence, with which the first stage will orient and set up for SpaceX's iconic precision landing. Close to the landing pad for today, that is the landing zone 1 here at Cape Canaveral Space Force's base. And at T plus 7 minutes and 39 seconds, the first stage will land on landing zone 1 for the 5th time this year, marking SpaceX's 466th overall booster landing to date. The reaction control system thrusters are at the top of the booster help stabilize the vehicle. Soon afterwards, the unused LOX, that is a liquid oxygen, is vented, while the RP-1, that is a rocket-grade kerosene propellant, remains in the tank. The second stage, MVAC engine, will shut down, also known as SECO-1, for the first time in today's flight and enter into a parking orbit at T plus 8 minutes and 48 seconds, completing its near about 6 minutes of burn. Then another major milestone at T plus 9 minutes and 38 seconds, Dragon will separate from second stage, and finally at T plus 10 minutes and 20 seconds, the Dragon nose cone opening sequence will begin, and after that, the Dragon will be on its way to the International Space Station.
Access arm getting their boarding passes handed to them and checked by our closeout team. You'll notice that Peggy Whitson is gold because she is a frequent flyer with us here at SpaceX. And then once our crew ingressed Dragon, we completed suit leak checks and comm checks before rotating the seats into the reclined position for launch. Love these videos of them up in the white room there. You can see those signatures on the wall behind them, hugging the closeout team before ingressing the capsule. Then from there, that is the same team that closes the hatch and seals everything in the preparation for launch. Right now, we are still waiting on those final weather checks coming up, but prop load has begun. So all of that brought us through the confirmations we've been listening to, the check-ins, confirming that the crew arm is stowed, and of course, as we were listening so intently for earlier today, that our launch escape system is armed. With that, we are just over 31 minutes away from today's liftoff.
Incredible. That white room is got a lot of history in it already.
And lots more to come, which is really exciting.
Yes, we are just adding another chapter to this storied location. That 39A has got so much history already.
So of course, everything about today is really timelined down to the minute. As we were talking about earlier today, the crew wake up all the way through launch. We have this kind of precise choreography that is key to our launch site execution. Each of the calls we're hearing, the visual cues that we're seeing, and that we're acknowledging to you who are joining us from around the world, serve as critical synchronization.
Stage 1, cryohelium loading.
There's confirmation there that we're loading the cryohelium onboard stage 1 of Falcon 9. And each of these milestones are critical synchronization points for both the ground and crew teams. As they say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. It's hard to believe that it's been 5 years since Dragon radically changed how humanity gets to space. After the space shuttle program ended in 2011, NASA astronauts primarily used the Russian Soyuz spacecraft for travel to the International Space Station. Until 2020, Dragon was the Russian Soyuz spacecraft was the only human-capable launch vehicle available. Meanwhile, SpaceX's Dragon was being developed, and then in 2010, it became the first commercial spacecraft to be recovered from orbit. In fact, just for fun, because it's cool to know, the Dragon that flew on that first commercial mission is actually the one hanging behind us here in front of Mission Control in Hawthorne. Since then, Dragon has supported 17 human spaceflight missions and flown 66 crew members representing 17 countries. Overall, Dragon has flown 52 missions, carrying over 1,000 experiments and over 300,000 pounds of cargo to space.
And each of those missions represents a host of firsts that have helped shape this generation of spaceflight. To fully appreciate the progress being made together with SpaceX and NASA, it's worth noting that Axiom Space's 3 missions to date have helped provide greater access for nations and researchers, setting new precedents for private astronaut efforts aboard the International Space Station. And Ax-4 adds to that growing flight heritage.
After successful liftoff and orbital insertion, the Ax-4 crew are set to rendezvous and dock with the International Space Station tomorrow. They'll spend approximately 14 days aboard the orbiting laboratory, bringing the occupancy count up to 11.
And over the last 10 months, this crew has been working with instructors to learn every system they will be working with on station. They have studied and practiced every experiment, reviewed and rehearsed every event, all to maximize that time in space. Collectively, this crew is undertaking the largest quantity of research efforts of any Axiom Space mission to date, with over 60 research activities on their timeline, representing 31 different countries. Missions like these continue to expand what is possible and set the stage for even greater opportunities to come.
Then, at the conclusion of their time on station, the crew will participate in a closing farewell ceremony and begin their preparations for the journey back to Earth. As we've mentioned a couple of times, that'll be about 14 days from today.
Each mission to the International Space Station is rooted in singular unifying purpose, to explore and learn together as a team. And that is one of the things that I absolutely love about human spaceflight. The International Space Station is a symbol of what can be realized from international cooperation and collaboration. And so while this particular mission may represent the goals of 4 specific nations, today they are launching as one crew, one team. And in that spirit, this crew created a mark to represent their shared effort together. The Ax-4 mission patch is something that Peggy, Shuks, Sławosz, and Tibor will wear proudly for the rest of their lives. But so will thousands of people who've worked tirelessly to contribute to this mission.
The mission patch for Axiom-4 was created, as you mentioned, by the crew, not just to mark their space flight, but to symbolize the idea that space is for everyone. Anchored by the centrality of the Earth and flanked by a diverse set of national flags, there are several intended meanings woven into this design. For instance, the 7 stars represent the 7 continents and point to global inclusivity.
The 4 white lines ascending from the Earth to the International Space Station symbolize the physical journey of this mission, and together appear to make panes of a spacecraft window, much like the view the astronauts will have from Earth orbit. And the overall gem shape of the patch is a reminder of the precious responsibility we all have to our planet, to cherish and to protect our homeworld. And in addition to the mission patch, another favorite tradition of human spaceflight is the zero-G indicator. To celebrate their unique bond, the Ax-4 crew chose a baby swan as the zero-G indicator, which they've named Joy. And today, we have the opportunity to have our very own Joy joining us to help us keep an eye on the gravity levels here in Hawthorne. And so far, pretty stable.
Yeah, all systems nominal, I would say.
Very, very nominal. Yes.
So as we await our T-0 in a little bit more than 25 minutes, our ground operations teams are doing a final series of systems checks to make sure both Dragon and Falcon 9 are ready for launch. Let's take a look at what the ascent portion of our mission today will look like.
Start of stage 2 crylohelium loading.
Brief announcement on stage 2 loading. Once we hit T0, we're going to watch Falcon 9 and Dragon lift off from historic launch pad 39A and make their ascent. At about 43 seconds into flight, Falcon 9's engines will throttle down to help pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure on the rocket, or what we typically refer to as max Q. Now, it's worth noting that shortly after we hit max Q, the vehicle will go supersonic, faster than the speed of sound.
Once we're through that period of maximum dynamic pressure, we throttle up our Merlin engines again. From there, at about 2.5 minutes into flight, we have a series of 3 events that happen in rapid succession. The first is main engine cutoff, also called MECO. This is where all 9 Merlin engines shut off in preparation for stage separation. Stage SEP is when the first stage detaches from the second stage, with the first stage making its way back to Earth for landing as the second stage continues on its journey with the third event.
Now, SES-1, or second stage engine start number 1, that's where the Merlin vacuum engine lights up and propels the second stage along with our Ax-4 crew and Dragon into orbit. Now, as stage 2 heads into the targeted drop-off orbit, stage 1 will execute 3 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. The first is the boost back burn, where 3 of the Merlin 1D engines reignite and then shut down. That heads the first stage back to Cape Canaveral.
The second burn, or the entry burn, helps to slow the first stage down in preparation for entry back into the Earth's atmosphere. About 70 seconds before Dragon reaches orbit, Falcon 9 will land back on Earth. The landing burn will bring the vehicle's speed down rapidly in order to land back on land near the launch site, shortly before 8 minutes into our mission.
And then a little less than a minute after that, at T plus 8 minutes 48 seconds, the second stage will cut off its one Merlin engine that was ignited right after stage separation. That concludes a burn that lasts just over 6 minutes to get into orbit, but we'll wait to hear confirmation of insertion into a good orbit. Then Dragon and the second stage begin preparations to separate Dragon. About 51 seconds after we get into orbit, we should have a great view of Dragon with the 4-person crew drifting away in Dragon, moving away from the second stage. Once Dragon's a short distance away, it'll begin checkout of the Draco maneuvering thrusters. That'll make sure Dragon continues to increase separation distance from the second stage.
The nose cone deploy sequence will initiate just before T plus 12 minutes and finish around T plus 15 minutes, exposing Dragon's docking mechanism in advance of arrival at the International Space Station. Speaking of which, we should hand it back now to Sandra Jones at NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston, Texas for a quick update. Sandra?
Thanks, Ronnie. The space station team here in Houston is focused on the critical systems of the International Space Station, all continuing to function as expected ahead of launch. Everything is looking good, and the station will be ready to receive Dragon and the Axiom-4 crew on Thursday. After Dragon is fully docked to the orbiting laboratory, the team here in Houston will assist the Axiom Space and Space Station astronauts with leak checks as they work to open hatches on both Dragon and inside the station's pressurized mating adapter. We expect hatch opening to take place approximately 2 hours after docking. Once the Axiom-4 crew arrives at the International Space Station, they will be greeted by the Expedition 73 crew, which includes NASA astronauts Nicole Ayers, Anne McClain, and Johnny Kim, as well as JAXA, or Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Takoya Onishi, and Roscosmos cosmonauts Kirill Peskov, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Alexei Zubritsky. Flight Director Heidi Brewer is on console right now, leading the flight controllers for launch this evening. And with Mission Control in Houston go for launch, for now, we'll send it back over to Sonia at Kennedy.
Thanks, Sandra. To dive into some of the science highlights, I'm joined now by Axiom Space's Chief Scientist, Dr. Lucy Lowe. Lucy, thanks for joining me here at the desk. With so many science portfolios that are going to be accomplished, there are more than 60 from more than 30 countries. We can't cover it all. Give us a high-level look of what this portfolio looks like.
Yeah, so happy to, Sonia. So this mission is chock-a-block, jam-packed full of really interesting and exciting science. We have everything from human research, understanding how the human body reacts to space. We have some really fun life sciences experiments looking at growing plants and all kinds. We have some physical sciences. We have lots of technology demonstrations. And my favorite, lots of science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics outreach events.
All the STEAM things.
Exactly.
So we've had great success with AX-1, 2, 3. Do we have any return payload flyers for AX-4?
We do. We have our partners at the University of California, San Diego, and the Sanford Stem Cell Institute flying their cancer cells in low Earth orbit for the 4th time with Axiom. So this team is actually looking at how the cancer cells respond to space. And on this mission, they're actually testing a newly approved drug that's just about to enter clinical trials.
Amazing.
So really exciting.
So let's take just a brief look at each of the country's portfolios. Let's start at the head.
At the top, okay, off we go. So we're going to bring on our willing participant who is going to model, our lovely assistant who is going to model one of the experiments from this portfolio. So Israel here is wearing a functional near-infrared spectroscopy cap, which has optodes in the top, which can actually look at how blood is moving around, which is a correlate for neural activity. So it's a way to actually monitor brain activity in space. And what the team is doing is looking at these signals and how they're going to collect the data. And they're actually creating what they're calling a brain-computer interface, or a brain-machine interface, which could be really interesting and useful not only for future exploration missions, but also for applications back here on Earth. So, for example, for rehabilitation after neurological disorders.
And which country's portfolio is this from?
This is from ESA and the Polish Space Agency.
Amazing. So what is ISRO doing? What's their portfolio
So
look like?
ISRO has a very, very busy portfolio. So Shooks is going to be doing lots and lots of research throughout the mission. So their team is going to be looking at cyanobacteria and microalgae, and they're going to be looking at how these could be used for food or for fuel or for potentially even life support systems on orbit in future. The team is also looking at muscle cells. They're seeing how muscle cells respond to access to microgravity. So when the human goes into space and there are changes, physiological changes that happen very quickly that can impact the muscle cells. And so the team is going to be looking at some of these changes to muscle cells in space and then applying that understanding not only to developing countermeasures for future crew, but also to take that learning and then understand more about diseases that might affect muscle wasting back here on Earth.
I wish that this was on so we could see if anything was lighting up with Israel. Thank you so much for helping with this. I'm going to turn this way and I'm going to get the Dyros B project. Israel, thanks for joining us here, showing off the headset there. This is fascinating. While I manipulate this, like they're going to do in space, which basically makes me an astronaut, I'm going to also hum Bach.
You should do. So this is a project from Hunor, flying this research, and this is actually looking at fluid dynamics in space. So we've put this tape on for artistic purposes. Tibor will not have this disco tape on orbit, but in space, what is going to happen is this will be surrounded by a ball of water that's going to have microparticles embedded in it. And as a video is recording and he's turning the handle
to music,
exactly, the tempo at which he's turning the handle is going to increase, not too much, as he's listening to Bach. So he's going to know exactly how fast to turn the handle. And so the insight from research like this is going to help us understand some of the fluid dynamics around large bodies such as Saturn in our own solar system.
So it's not just for fun.
It's not just for fun. It's all very important.
If there is a researcher who's watching now and says, I've got research that I want to get into low Earth orbit, how do they do that?
They come talk to us. Go onto the website, get in touch, and we'd love to fly more research like this and do more cool science in space.
Such cool science. Thank you so much, Lucy, for making it just understandable for the general public, and we can't wait to see how it all plays out over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy. And, you know, the Ax-4 mission is very exciting, and the families and friends want to be here, but some of them couldn't. So we want to share with you now just a little taste of the friends and family who are cheering on the entire Ax-4 crew. Peggy, Shooks, Swa, and Tibor. A great group of teammates who are doing great things for their countries, and here are the folks who have been supporting them all along the way.
Oh, excuse me. Hi, myself, Diptometra, joining you from AstroYonder team. Right now on your screen are some of the family members and the close ones of the 4 astronauts for the Axiom-4 mission. Right now we are passed through T-minus 16 minutes. At T-minus 16 minutes, at that point, we start loading the second stage liquid oxygen Now, next major milestone, we will be coming up at T-minus 7 minutes. That's when the chill down of the 9 Merlin engines gets underway. As of now, we heard that some good call out from the comms that absolutely no issues are there. Previously, we were monitoring some issues with the upper higher level winds that can hinder with the launch escape system about the Dragon. So right now, that issue also, I guess, got resolved, and we are about to have an final go from the SpaceX launch director.
Rich history of traditions. We've spoken of about a few, from the zero-G indicator to others. We started this next tradition for AX2, and we're excited to continue that today. It's a special thing to be named as a commander to anything, but being the commander of a 4-person crew that has completed months of training and is about to defy gravity and set sail for the International Space Station, it's truly out of this world. Peggy has some thoughts she wanted to share here in this moment, just a few short minutes from launch, and here's Peggy.
As commander of the Ax-4 mission, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to our journey. This mission to the International
We are sorry for not providing the audio feed during these clips because they are having copyrighted tracks and we can't play them on our stream. So we are getting just from 6 minutes from now, the first stage kerosene tank should be full at T-minus 6 minutes. At 5 minutes and 30 seconds, the strong back retract sequence will begin. And the next event upon the completion of when the strong back retraction process will be undergoing, that will be at T-minus 5 minutes, that when the Dragon switches to internal power. So that one is a critical milestone before the liftoff. And those of who are new to these terms, the strong back, which I'm mentioning, and also you will be hearing on the stream, it's referred to as a transporter erector, or the known as TE, which fulfills multiple functions. It supplies propellant, provides air conditioning, pressurization gases, and electrical power. Additionally, it transports the Falcon 9 to the launch pad and positions it for the launch. You can see that strong, long structure close to the Falcon 9, standing up to the same height of the Falcon 9, and it is called as the strong back. It will recline during its reclination process about 1.5 degrees away from the Falcon 9, and it will be further pulled off during the Falcon 9's vertical ascent after the Falcon 9's liftoff. We are now just 10 minutes away from the liftoff. Now,
they're configured for launch.
The displays are configured for launch, and the Axiom-4 crew would like to thank the incredible teams that have made this moment possible. To the Axiom Space team, you've poured your hearts into this mission. Your passion and dedication have lifted us higher. We wear this patch with pride because of you. To NASA, thank you for the decades of knowledge, the training, and the trust. You've shaped generations of explorers, and we're honored to carry that legacy forward. To SpaceX, thank you for giving us the wings to fly and the confidence for a safe return home. And to our international partners, thank you for standing with us across borders, united by shared purpose. And to every person behind the scenes, engineers, trainers, families, and friends, You are the quiet force behind this mission. We carry the hopes of many with us. As we realize its return, we will bring those hopes home to you. Thank you.
Peggy, Shukes, Slav, Tibor, from all of us that are staying here on the ground, we look forward to your mission. All the hard work from our teams culminates here, so good luck, enjoy the ride, and science the heck out of all your experiments.
Wilco.
And a Wilco from Peggy.
Now, it seems like there is absolutely no issues. We got some thankful words from the commander leading the Axiom-4 mission, Peggy Whitson. We are getting close to 7 minutes. That's when we will be chilling down the 9 Merlin engines, which involves flowing a small amount of liquid oxygen through the plumbing or turbo pumps that help protect the engines from the risk of thermal shock and damage during the startup sequence. 1.5 minutes from now, the first stage kerosene tank should be full. So let's listen to the comms there.
Call significant events in the life of the Falcon 9 as we count down. We'll also be chilling in the upper stage engine. We'll hear that call out also in flight when we do some additional chill in at about 1 minute and 52 seconds.
Engine chill has started.
There we go. We got the call out that for the engine chill for the 9 Merlin engines right on time. And as John was mentioning, we will be chilling in the second stage MVAC engine during the flight. Right now, stage 1 RP1 load is complete. You can see the crew there, so much with energy. Although every time they are getting launched, it's a new experience and it's a breathtaking experience, you can say. For Peggy, it's many times she got to have this experience, but for the rest of the 3 crew members, is for the first time they will be getting launched. So I wish and I hope that you will be able to feel their excitement if you were in their place. We just passed the 6 minute T-minus 6 minutes count before the liftoff. So the first stage kerosene tank should be full, and it's for both the first and second stage. We are still loading the liquid oxygen load on both the stages, and that we will be soon getting the callouts for LOX load completion for both the stages. And we will be now pressurizing the tanks for the strong back retract. And once the arms are, we are right now adding a little bit of gas to firm up the tank so that the clamp arms can open with the solid structure holding the Falcon 9. Right now, you can see the closer view of the Dragon, and you can see the clamp arms on the base of the Dragon. They will be coming to open up, and after that, the strong back will start to recline away from the Falcon 9 about 1.5 degrees.
Fuel and umbilicals that we're using in the lead up to launch. There are those clamp arms open.
And right now you can see the clamp arms coming to open up, and we will be now retracting the strong back, and it will be a very small degrees getting away. That's approximately 1.5 or 2. So make sure to provide good attention out there. And right now you can see it slowly moving away from the Falcon 9, and it will be reclining just 2 degrees. So I hope you can understand that how far it will be going away from the Falcon 9. The strong back is the structure, as I mentioned before, next to Falcon 9 that carries air conditioning, electrical signals, pressurization gases, and propellant to the spacecraft and both the stages. It also provides air conditioning for the second stage, and stage 1 LOX load is now complete. We are passed through 2 minutes, and we got the confirmation that Dragon is now on its internal power and will be heading for its terminal count. Stage 1 LOX load is complete. We did got the caller for stage 2 LOX load being complete as well. No, my apologies. We didn't heard the stage 2 LOX load being complete. We just call out for the stage 1 LOX load to be complete. And just a few seconds from now, we will be, and we got the call out that stage 2 LOX load is complete. Now, all the propellants are now on board with the Falcon 9 with 1 million pounds of propellant. We are now beginning to bend down the pressure that was in the tubing of the strong back. That's why we can see those clouds coming out there, and there is absolutely nothing to worry. It's absolutely a normal process, and rather it's an healthy indicator of the launch coming up. Next event, T-1 minute, we should hear the call out that the Falcon 9 flight computers are in startup and controlling the rocket for the remainder of the countdown. So let's sit back and enjoy the liftoff.
Left to right inside Dragon, from this camera's perspective, you have Tibor Kapu there on the left-hand side. Then beside him is our pilot, Shubhanshu Shukla. Then to the other side,
is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling.
Is Commander Peggy Whitson, and
there we got the call out. Dragon is now in startup. We'll get a final go from the SpaceX launch director.
SpaceX, go for launch.
And there we have it. We got the final go for the Axiom-4 mission. We got the final go for the Axiom-4 mission after repetitive delays and postponements. So finally, we will have the crew to be getting launched.
To lift off of Ax-4.
It's really a thrilling moment for all of us.
Go Ax-4.
15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff.
For 3 nations, a new chapter in space takes flight. Godspeed, Ax-4.
And we have a successful liftoff for the Falcon 9, carrying the 4 astronauts for the Axiom-4 mission. A huge congratulations to Hungary, India, and Poland for getting into orbit after more than 40 years. Now T plus 57 seconds, we will be having the max Q. Right now we are in a throttle bucket. We are throttling down the 9 Merlin engines as we prepare for the maximum dynamic stress coming up.
Max Q.
And there we go. We got the call out, max Q call out. We are through the period of maximum stress on the vehicle. We have throttled the 9 Merlin engines back up to full power. We got the call out for vehicle being supersonic. That means the Falcon 9 has exceeded Mach 1. Now Falcon 9 is faster than the speed of sound as it has gone supersonic.
That throttle up, and we
Copy
are
1 Bravo.
hearing our commander Peggy Whitson call out the first abort mode. Each of these are a specific phase where if for any reason we had an in-flight abort, Dragon would...
So we got the call out and back engine chill right away. Right now we have started to chill down the MVAC engine on the second stage. That will push the Dragon to desired orbit prior to its ignition just after stage separation. Coming up 3 events in rapid succession: the shutdown of main engine on the first stage, that is main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation and ignition of the second stage MVAC engine, also known as SES1. That will boost the Crew Dragon to low Earth orbits. So let's listen to those call-outs.
Confirmation from Mission Control that we are throttling the first stage engines down. We are expecting MECO at T plus 2 minutes and 26 seconds.
MECO.
Great views out there.
Stage 1 boost back startup, back ignition.
And we got
Confirmation of all 4 of those
awesome views.
incredible views on our screen here too, as that boost back, as that first stage boosts its way back to Earth.
Stage 2 Alpha.
And confirmation
Copy
from our
2 Alpha.
commander that we have entered the 2
I'm speechless, guys. This will be always remain in the history. So we got the call out for the MECO, that is main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation and MVAC engine ignition. And we did got the call out for the boost back burn. That will be for 46 seconds long boost back burn, bringing the instantaneous impact point to the vicinity of the launch site. We got the confirmation of the boost back burn is complete. Now just a heads up, we will be hearing stage 1 FTS being saved call out, which means the re-entry burn for stage 1 burn has been either initiated or accomplished, and hearing stage 2 FTS being saved.
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
Some good healthy call out.
Nominal trajectory.
Everything is right.
So I was saying that hearing the stage 2 FTS being saved means that the second stage is up with the orbital insertion burn.
Second stage.
Next up, we are expecting the call out for stage 1 entry burn to start up.
Just a little bit more than 1 G. There's so much propellant that even with a 220,000 pound thrust engine, it takes a while before the G loads start to build up during the second stage flight. Meanwhile, first stage continuing to coast up to apogee, and actually now, as you can see on the bottom left of your monitors, we have begun coming back down. It takes a couple minutes to go up, a couple minutes to come back down. That first stage heading back to landing zone 1 at Cape Canaveral.
ESA astronaut project Sławosz Uznański is having a good time there, enjoying the ride. We did got some good healthy callouts, nominal trajectories for both the vehicle.
Our next major event coming up will be
at T plus 6 minutes and 18 seconds. Stage 1 entry burn will begin.
We're going to light a single center engine on the first stage. That's going to slow us down in preparation for entering the Earth's atmosphere again. We'll then have a landing burn about a minute later at T plus 7 minutes and 19 seconds. Now for that one, we actually light 3 engines again. Then quickly once we've kind of jammed the brakes on, then we'll turn off 2 of the engines. We'll be down to just a single engine. Getting good views of the MVAC-D engine. There are a couple of cameras on the back of the second stage that give these views.
John made a mistake seeing things out there.
The Dragon spacecraft showing the crew.
During the entry.
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
Again, some good healthy callouts. nominal trajectory for both the vehicles.
As Ronnie pointed out, the grid fins have been deployed, but they're not being used. Right before
Just 18 seconds,
see a little bit of motion if we
12 seconds from now, we will have the stage 1 entry burn startup.
It's not until we actually get through the entry burn.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there we go. There now you can see we'll be igniting one of the 9 Merlin engines. That is the center E9 engine. And that burn lasts just around 23 seconds.
Your screen, that first stage entry burn shut down. Right now on your screen, we've got
Now you can see the second stage MVAC engine on its approximately 6 minutes of burn.
milestone for our first stage is
The first stage did its job on its second flight and it's one way back.
again things we
Good, some good
Dragon copy, nominal trajectory.
healthy call out, and we did got the call out. Stage 2 FTS being saved. That means the orbital insertion burn is complete, and stage 1 is now transonic, which we heard. That means that the stage 1 is now traveling slower than the speed of sound. You can see the speed getting decreased from the bottom left hand side from your telemetry, and here we are having the 3 Merlin engines to burn as it heads close to the landing pad 1, landing zone 1, landing legs deployed. And there we have it, a magnificent stage 1 landing confirmation. Really was a slow-mo kind of landing, and we have successfully made 447th landing of an orbital class Falcon 9 rocket. Coming up next, we will have the second stage engine cutoff. That is the engine right now on your screen will be turning off. Following this, just less than a minute or so, we will have the Dragon separation from the second stage.
awaiting that SECO call out.
We are just 30 seconds away from the MVAC engine shutdown, also known as SECO 1.
Terminal guidance.
Good continued burn from our second stage engine there.
Also, we should be keeping an
Experiencing about 3 Gs in the lead.
attention towards the call out for the nominal orbit insertion.
There's confirmation
Copy, Shannon.
of the Shannon abort mode.
MVAC shutdown.
And there you can see on your screen right now the second stage engine, or you can say the second stage MVAC engine shutdown is successful. SECO 1, it's an now you are getting a live view from the second stage with the Dragon on board. Now we are just waiting for the Dragon separation from the second stage.
Through space against the backdrop of Earth. It speaks to the refinement of our mission, the harmony of science and spirit, and the unmerited favor we carry with humility. Grace reminds us that spaceflight is not just a...
And there you go. There's a confirmation, as like visual confirmation at least. The Dragon separates from the second stage. Now standing by for the confirmation call out for Dragon's nose cone opening sequence to begin. And following that event, Dragon capsule with Axiom-4's crew on board will enter into a coast phase as the Dragon ascends to its target orbit for getting docked with the International Space Station.
7 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना जैसे चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Some motivating words from the Ax-4 pilot Shubhanshu Shukla.
Przyszłości technologicznej Polski. Polski opartej na nauce, wiedzy i wizji. Niech ta misja będzie początkiem epoki, w której nasza odwaga i nieustępliwość kształtują nowoczesną Polskę. Dla nas i dla przyszłych pokoleń. Kosmos zawsze jednoczył ludzi. Zabieram dziś z Ziemi.
This flight of the Dragon spacecraft to the International Space Station is all autonomous, but of course crew have the authority to take the command of the Dragon spacecraft at any point during their journey to the International Space Station, but it's quite rare that they have to take any manual control for the Dragon. Right now we heard Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski some words for his countrymen, and right now Tibor Kapu.
Hálás és büszke vagyok, hogy a hazánkat képviseltem. Családomnak és barátaimnak köszönöm, hogy ti vagytok a legerősebb támaszaim. A ti hangotok hangosabb, mint a rakétánk, erőtök nagyobb, mint a gravitáció. A világ még mindenkié, a Föld pedig egyetlen. Mi a bolygónk 4 különböző pontjáról indultunk, de társakként, barátokként elkezdtünk ide. A mi születésünk a tiétek is. Köszönöm mindenkinek, szerte a világon, akik hozzájárultak ez a gyönyörű naphoz. Egynek minden nehéz, soknak semmi sem lehetetlen. Go Ax-4!
And you can see the 0G indicator floating there. Joy, it's the name, the 5th crew member for today's flight, giving the clear indication that they have reached the 0G, and Sławosz Uznański playing with the 0G indicator. Right now we are waiting for the confirmation for the Dragon nose cone open sequence.
Newly named capsule that the crew announced today.
On behalf of the entire SpaceX launch team, thank you. It's been a privilege to work with you so far, and we're excited for you to have a safe flight and a safe return home. Good things come to those who wait. Godspeed to the maiden crew of Grace.
And we thank you all as well.
You just heard the comms out there. They say that good things comes for those who wait. We were waiting for you to hit the like button on this stream. I hope I will be getting some good things.
NASA's role
Well, that's a joke.
really kicks in at a period called integrated operations, which begins during the spacecraft's approach to the space station and continues during the crew's stay aboard the orbiting laboratory, where they will conduct science, education, and commercial activities, and will conclude once the spacecraft exits the vicinity of the International Space Station. During integrated operations, the NASA, SpaceX, and Axiom Space teams are all working in lockstep. The teams here are preparing for a docking of Axiom-4 to the space station at 7 a.m. Eastern on Thursday morning, and will continue to monitor the approach until then. But for now, that will be it for us here in Mission Control Houston, but we'll be back with you at 5 a.m. Eastern for docking, hatch opening, and welcome coverage. So with that, back over to you, Hawthorne.
Thanks so much, Sandra. Over the next 28 and a half hours, the Dragon
So we didn't got the call out for nose cone to open up, but rest assured it happened as expected.
and what we refer to as the
Now, today's launch marks SpaceX's 506th mission, their landing marking 466 success, and the 18th crewed flight for them. Now, I hope we will be getting some in-orbit events or some in-orbit calls from the crew, although it's not planned, but during the previous Axiom mission, we did saw them to do so. So just a reminder, now Axiom-4 crew with aboard the Crew Dragon on its way to International Space Station. They will be getting docked, scheduled for approximately 7 a.m. Eastern Daytime, 11 hours UTC on June 26, 2025. That is tomorrow. It will be just, they will be bringing the coverage 2 hours before the docking. And just after the docking, event. The stream will be followed by the hatch opening and the welcome ceremony. So be sure to check out the upcoming Axiom-4 mission docking with the International Space Station coverage. The stream is already posted on our channel and is waiting for your visit. With that, we will wrap up our coverage for now. But before that, want to thank you for wherever you are watching our live launch coverage. It's really impossible to do this broadcast without your encouragement. So thank you for your continued support of what we do here at AstroYonder. We appreciate everyone joining us for today's launch. Wishing you a nice week ahead. Also check out our social media handle on X for the latest happenings in the space industry and updates on upcoming launch events. Guess the link got posted on the chat section. I hope you enjoyed the stream today. Once again, thanks for watching. This is AstroYonder Live and me, Dipto, signing off for now, and we will see you soon.